Sonita, we were just talking, leading into this World Championships, which is by far your best performance, the best performance we've ever seen in the IPF, the biggest total we've ever seen in the IPF on the women's division. And you were saying you had faced some adversity. And
Yeah,
so, what was just saying before we started recording, previously, the 84 plus was an incredibly stacked class. I mean, the 2023 battle probably stole the show of that world championships, if we're honest.
definitely
And
did.
I want to get your thoughts on that one. But before we backtrack, I just want to talk about the worlds that just happened and your performance you put up in Lithuania. Going into this, what were your expectations going into the Lithuanian World Championships?
I would say my expectations were quite low because I wasn't sure really. Um, I started my peak like the first week of my peak. I was like super excited. I had just come off Euros and I didn't do much at Euros then because I knew I had to head immediately into peak. So Euros for me was just like her light. I was demotivated after, not really demotivated, but I was really down after, I think after Sheffield. Sheffield was such a big meet. You don't just come off such a meet and just go like, I had like, oh, I was like really down. So I went to Euros because I wanted to like get the motivation, get the fire back up to start my peak for the World Championship. So after Euros, I came back home. I was super excited to get into peak. I was like really happy. And then I hit week one. And then the second week, I got like completely hurt. And so everything went south. I really didn't see a way out. I don't even think I was not positive. Like I was really, really negative on myself, I would say. I was crying. Christoph was like, they're always trying to be positive. He was like the positive voice for me. And Joey also was always being very positive. He believed that we are gonna get ready in time, but I just couldn't see it happening because I have never been hurt before competition like that before. So that was like my first time where I got hurt in prep. I mean, like prepping, my prep was like barely starting and I was like already with an injury. And because I know that squat was like my big lift, like that's like my most important lift. I would say I win competition with squat, not with bench and deadlift. And so that that put me in a really dark spot. There was a point where I told Christoph, like, I think that was, we were like, what, 5 weeks out. And I was like, see, I'm going to go to World Championship and squat the minimum weight allowed to squat, which is like, I think 75. And I'm going to
My
bench the
gosh,
minimum.
really this
And I'm going
close?
to bench the minimum.
Oh my God, really was that bad, that
It
close?
was, it was. Because the week I got hurt, I didn't squat, so that was like a week lost for me. And then week two after the injury, I was struggling. I tried to push 200 kilos, and then I re-injured myself again because the pain was like really really bad. And because I was doing it for doubles, it was 200 kilos for doubles, and I was like that was not happening. So and then we had to revert to doing box squats on my secondary day, which was a Sunday. And then the next Wednesday, which is the main squat day, I also was still doing box squats. Christoph, I literally have video with him spotting me with like 170 kilos with him behind my. I'm like, why are you spotting me 170? I mean,
Oh wow.
it's 170. So it was really really bad. Honestly speaking, I had 2 weeks. I for squat, I picked for 2 weeks heading into the World Championships. Squat showed up 2 weeks out of the World Championship, but that was still not. I wasn't still convinced. I was still like doubting, not knowing what was gonna happen at the World Championship, not knowing if I can actually do what I have to do to to be the top. But I remember that 4 weeks out of the World Championships, I had a very heavy 260 in the gym, which was like really depressing. And then 3 weeks out, I hit a 290 squat. That was a grind because I went from you see the jump that I made. I went from like 260 to like just pushing into 290. I didn't even give myself time to catch up. because I knew that I didn't have the time to catch up. So the moment where I was like, oh, I could load 260, the next jump I did was 290 the week after that.
That's it's gutsy because you could easily re-injure yourself. That's a 30
Yes,
kilo jump. That's insane. But you don't got
yes,
time. You don't
yes.
got
I
time. You
didn't.
got it's now or never.
That was what I told myself. Like, "See, I really don't have time. I feel a bit better. I know that sometimes when you heal with an injury physically, that mentally you're still very scared of the weight, to not re-injure yourself. I had that in my mind, but I just think wanting to win, I mean, like put me in a better place. I don't know what the word to use for it, but I just think that me wanting to win or wanting to be in a better place or wanting to be able to squat something big at the world championship really completely turned my mind around. That I wasn't like really so worried about re-injuring myself. I was like, whatever happens, happens. And I'm also a Christian, so in my mind I'm like, if this is what God has destined for me, and then that is what is gonna happen. So I just get into the gym and I'm like, we're loading 290 today. I didn't even plan to load 290. It happened in the gym.
You're like, here it is. Well, it's crazy because you ended up squatting 311 kilos, which is
Yeah,
insane. In hearing that, you
yeah,
would assume that your prep going into 311 kilos, you would assume would have been you were lighting it on fire. You were just smashing squats and you would
yeah,
hear week over week progress and you're like, oh my God, that must have been a like a 731 kilo total. You would think that must have been a remarkable prep. And to
yeah,
hear that essentially you were like you were doing 200 kilos not too long before, like you were way off that in prep.
yeah, yeah.
How
I
how
remember that
was it possible? How is it even possible?
I have no idea. When I hit the 290 and it was a grinder, I was so down. I was like, Joey would tell you I was like in the I was typing all sort of messages to him, crying myself in the bathroom, in the toilet of the gym, like this is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be able to make it to the world championships because this is not how it's supposed to be. By now, I'm always feeling. I mean, when I compare it to my previous preps, I was always feeling so strong at that time in prep, and this time I wasn't. And I was so convinced that nothing was gonna move. But then the Sunday, which was my secondary day, squat, I was like, okay, I did two. I remember I invited some friends over. I'm like, I'm gonna do 280 for triples. That's something I've never done before. So they all came into the gym. I think that like boosted my confidence a bit. And yeah, I lowered it to 8 and I did it for triple. And it was not even it was like an RP 8 triple. I was like, damn, okay. So
You're like, well, maybe I got the strength after all.
yeah.
Like, where did it come from? If you weren't like training very heavily, you know what I mean?
Uh,
Usually it takes conditioning and prep to get up to that.
I know, but I think that there's a part of me that I don't always like to dig into. And because it's a very painful, emotional, all sort of feelings in it. And I remember that Sunday, and when I had to do the 280 for triple, that I had like this song on, and it completely just took me exactly where I had to be for that training. I was crying, but it wasn't because I was hurt or because I was sad. I was just listening to that song and I started crying. And Krista was like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" I'm like, "I'm perfectly fine. I just dig too deep today." And
Holy smokes.
that was before I had to do the after my last one. That was before I had to do my triples, and I finished crying. I wiped my tears and I stepped under the bar. I think that was like really the moment for me, and it's yeah. I had to do what I had to do.
Did you at that moment, did you tell yourself like I think I'm gonna win the world championships? Or did you tell yourself like I think I'm in the game? You know, I'm in the
I think I
conversation.
was in the game. I wasn't convinced then yet, but I know that I was in the game. That was the moment I feel like I was not alone. And so it was that was like because my grandmother has always been a point of a strength for me. It's always like my connection to strength or whatever. I don't really know how to say that, but most times when I do any competition, I always like talk to her. It's always she's no more, and she's of late, but I have never done a competition without having a conversation with her. And heading into that training before hitting the triples at 280, I dig deep. I was like I searched in my heart, in my soul for her, for her,
Mm.
and then that was like where it hit, and I just reminded myself that I've never been alone, and I'm not alone, and I know that I will not be alone when I'm at the World Championships. And so that was like really just a moment for me. Like I had that my mind it completely turned around for me. Everything completely turned around for me, and I was gaining confidence. I would say I started like gaining my confidence back, like because I am a very confident lifter. When I handle my weight, when I go onto the bar to squat, I don't have an ounce of doubt in my mind. So that is like I was gaining that confidence back, and the confidence on it is a scary Sonita, I would say.
Well, okay, so coming off, I want to backtrack a stitch because you said coming off of Sheffield, you had the blues almost.
Yeah,
So what was it there? What did Sheffield? Because you had, you were the first woman ever to squat 300 kilos. And for most people, you had a remarkable performance.
yeah,
Brittany Schlater, the at the time reigning world champion, slightly edged you. It was 710, 708. But still,
yeah.
so maybe was it that your expectations were that you win the head to head? Or what was the expectations and why did you feel that way?
I think I had expected to win against Brittany, and because I remember that after Sheffield, I was like, I've come close twice. You know, the World Championship 2023 was 5 kilos off. I lose with 5 kilos, and Sheffield was 2 kilos. It was just that, like feeling it slip like through your fingers all the time.
Mm,
And then it was just, I don't know, it was a feelings of the 200 kilos was amazing. I knew that was the stage for it, and I had prepped for it. I was ready for the 200 kilos. I don't think I would have left Sheffield without squatting 200 kilos on the stage. It was either 200 kilos or nothing at all. So I was ready for that, and I really I was very happy that I did it at Sheffield. But I don't know. Part of me was like, maybe it was just the competition. I don't know. Maybe the too much hype heading into it, the too much momentum heading into it that I just like had a big drop off. But I know that I was like really not doing much after Sheffield. I was going to the gym like, I mean, 2 to 3 times, but because I knew that I had to keep training, not because I wanted to go to the gym. But that was just the case. But then after that, I remember telling Crystal, like, see, I'm done playing because I have gone against Brittany twice, and twice I've been so close. I've tasted the victory, but never like really
mm.
had to swallow it or anything like that. So that was just the case. So yeah, I don't think there was something much there. It was just the fact that I have so much momentum or so much hype heading into the competition, and then it was like I have no idea, but I came back home not like feeling like I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish.
There is like runners talk about sometimes they get the runner's blues where after a major, let's say a marathon,
Mhm.
all of this prep goes into that one event. And you can imagine how much training goes into a marathon.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
the actual marathon itself is such an event. It takes so much out of you on that day. It's not
mhm.
over in a couple minutes here.
No,
We're talking this takes hours. It takes as long as a powerlifting competition would.
yeah,
And you're so engulfed and encompassed and it literally will push you to the brink, push you right up to the wall, push you right up to the moment of possibly quitting and pulling out, etc. So the
yeah,
prep for it in the event itself is so great that when people are done running a marathon, they get what they call the runner's blues, where there's now a void. Whereas previously, you had a mission, you had a purpose, you got
yeah,
up and you were like, we're going to go after this. You got up and you knew, like, we're 3 weeks out. You
yeah,
walk into the gym and it's you and your team on this mission. You show
mhm,
up on that day. And to your point about Sheffield, there's no bigger high. It's such
yeah,
a crazy event. And on the day, the stimulus and how up you feel during that day. It's irreplaceable. You're
Yeah,
never going to get that in your day to day. So then when you return to your day to day, people talk about it. There's a void and you feel unmotivated, the blues, and you're like, what is this?
yeah, yeah.
What is this
I
for
was
me?
going through all of that. That's 100% there because, like you said, it takes a lot to build up to these competitions. It's not like something where you're doing a day or two. It's not like your regular training where when you're off period. It's completely different mentally and physically. You're doing all that you can do to prepare for a competition for like one moment, and after the moment is done, you have to like really, you know, look and like you have to like recalculate everything and see what you have to do next. But it takes some time, you know. You cannot just come off immediately. I don't know. I cannot do that. I cannot just come off immediately and just be like, yeah, now I'm gonna start hitting the gym again because I. It's like after World Championships, I had what 7 months to Sheffield. That was a long
Yeah.
time. So it's
Was
just it takes me. Yeah, it was. I felt like it was like super long because the first 3 months was just I don't know was nothing. You know, I was training. I was doing what I had to do, but I wasn't. I didn't have to push. You know, I didn't have to push for like any heavy trainings. I was just doing what I can do to maintain some, you know, some strength and all that. But it was really just, and I also went off like I wanted to let my shoulder heal, but I was just squatting. But the thing with my shoulder is if I needed to completely heal, I have to go off squat completely, which is not possible. So, but it was just like those moments where it's like, yeah, what do I do now? And there was a void. I was empty. I felt empty after winning the world championship. I don't know if anybody else felt that, but I was like, there was. I felt
really
like it was. I felt empty.
worse than Sheffield, or like when it first happened and you won the world championships, you got the biggest total we've ever seen in the IPF or any IPF affiliate. Just a
Mhm.
remarkable performance. You squatted 311. I mean, your performance was, everyone expected a battle like we saw at Sheffield, like we saw at 2023 Worlds in Malta. Everyone, the 84 pluses were such a tight division. And then your performance, you just took that and went for a ride with it. And you posted up one of the greatest performances we've ever seen. In afterwards, like, how about immediately afterwards when it just happened and you're still in Lithuania? How did you feel?
That felt amazing. I would say that. I was like on cloud. Is it like cloud 10, cloud 9, or whatever?
Cloud nine. It's cloud nine. You were probably on cloud 10.
I was on cloud. I had passed cloud 9 then. I was on cloud 10.
Yeah, yeah.
But I will take you through this. So heading into the world championship, right? 2 weeks out, we started trying to make like what we thinking about what was possible for me to do because it has been a roller coaster the prep. So we were thinking about what was possible for me to do, but I knew that I had a new competitor coming over, and Brittany was always going to be there, and I've lost to Brittany twice, you know, 3 times a champ, but it wasn't going to happen. So we started like trying to make game plans and all the stuff, but we stretched everyone out like to our maximum capacity. I mean capability on that day, because I remember saying like I cannot be stretching myself out without doing the same for the people I'm gonna compete against. You know, that's just me being a bit delusional. And one thing that I know that I wanted to do at the World Championship was go 9 for 9 because that's something I haven't done before. That was my only goal heading into the World Championship. I knew that if I could build a subtotal and go 6 on 6 on my subtotal, so on my subtotal, nobody was going to be able to get me. I knew that. That was all that I knew. But for deadlift, we were not sure because I know my deadlift always messes me up on court.
Well,
But I did 2 weeks out of prep. I hit I hit a 200 kilo squat, and I tried to compare it with like what I did at Sheffield and what I did before that, like the speed, it was faster. So it was not that like it wasn't like super fast than the before, but it was just like a second or so faster. So I knew that I haven't had enough time to peak, but I have done what I could have done given the circumstances. And so with that, that was what I was heading to the world championship with. I didn't had nothing else or whatever. I mean, hitting a 10 kilo PR after that kind of prep for squats. I don't know. I was surprised myself.
Well, sorry, continue on, continue on.
Yeah, because if I knew we had said that I knew if we had a good prep for squat, we're looking around 315. We're hoping to be around 315. And I know that with 315, the space, the gap I'm gonna have on the other people is just gonna be me maintaining going through and through for my bench. So that was what we were focusing on. But when I got hurt, we were like, okay, 306 is also good.
You're like 315's the money. 315, and you're like, nothing wrong with 306. All of a sudden, when you start getting injured. Leading into it though, so you alluded to Alexis Jones crossing over, a lot of hype on her. She had hit
Yeah.
721. You
Mhm.
had Brittany Schlater, obviously, whom, like you had mentioned, she's got 2 wins. She's a world champ. She was the defending
Mhm.
world champ at the time. So coming into this with Alexis Jones doing 721, were you telling yourself you might have to enter into the 730s to win this? What were your expectations lift wise? Or did you think, no, these numbers will come back down when Alexis comes over?
I knew the numbers were not going to be exactly the same because there's travel, and I think that was our first international competition. I wasn't really worried about Alexis. I think I still said I told myself my competition was Brittany, not Alexis, because Brittany and I we have gone. People like I listened to other preview. Is it review or the preview podcast? I listened to yours. I listened to the Sabato session, and everyone putting me on bronze. That lit a fire in me, though. It's good that you guys do that. I don't mind. Everyone saying Brittany is battle tested, but you're forgetting the fact that every time that she's been battle tested, it's been with me. So I mean, World Championship last year, it was with me and Brittany. Sheffield was with me and Brittany, but I feel like people easily take me out because I was hurt. I understand I was hurt. But if you look at the fact that the first squat that I put up, the beginning of my prep was a 285 squat for an ROPE 6. That was me starting out my block. That was me like my first week of my peaking block. That was an ROPE 6. If you look at that and then you still like Sophia said that if Sonita is good, squad is always going to show up. I mean, so she put me on silver. I love her for that because she still trusts, she still had the confidence in me and stuff like that. But it's like just hearing everyone being like, yeah, Alexis has the biggest total and Brittany is battle tested. So I'm going to put Sonita on bronze. I'm like, yeah.
It lit a
But
fire in you.
yeah, it was a bittersweet podcast, but that always make me like want to be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna show them like I'm not a watch over because I'm injured. Things can actually always turn around, and like I said, I'm a very very strong believer that the fact that if this is what God had made me for, if this is what He has had in plan for me, He was gonna show up for me on that day. So everything else was just like we're gonna do what we can do and see what God decide on the day. So yeah, but Alexis coming over was I was open. Welcomed her into, but I didn't really see her as my competition. Maybe at least for this world championship this year, I didn't really see her as my main problem.
Do you think the fact that people were picking Brittany or Alexis took off a little pressure from you, and people are putting the pressure on them that because the moving forward for sure you're going to be
Mhm.
everybody's pick. Do you think
I,
that'll feel different now that you won't be the underdog for here on out? You're going to be the favorite.
last year I feel like people had expected me to win. So I was like the favorite heading into the competition, into the world championship last year. The thing with people having expectation from me doesn't really rub me the wrong way, I would say, because it's like this. I see it in a positive way. People believe in me that they expect that I can be the best. So what I do is I try to be the best. So I don't really crumble under pressure. I don't do that. It doesn't really affect me because I try to see positive in most of the situations that I come across in life. So that is just one way of me seeing it. Like If everyone is like saying that Sunita's gonna win, Sunita's gonna win, it's because they believe so much in me, you know. And I'm that kind of person where if I have one person believing in me, I always feel like I can move mountains. So yeah.
And coming off of the World Championships from 2023, because you put on a lot of kilos onto your total. All you got,
Mhm.
you and Brittany both did. The
Yeah.
progress you made now, your progress continued right into 731, obviously, this year's Worlds. But the progress you made coming off of that, leading into those World Championships, I mean, we had the Bonica Brown era, and she was on top for so long.
Yeah.
And the totals never really moved too much. She didn't really get pushed. Going
Mhm.
into that World Championships, I mean, Bonica was the GOAT 84 plus. Were you factoring her into that? Did you think she was going to rise up as well? Did you have a feeling, no, this is going to be a new era now? Because I remember when Brittany Schlater won in 2021,
Mhm.
the talk was you won because Bonica wasn't there. And when Brittany won in 2023, she silenced all that. And it
Yeah.
gave a clue to the rest of the community, powerlifting community. Oh, this is a new era. We're in a new era now. And these ladies are, it's like nothing we'd seen before.
I would say, I mean, I joined the plus in 2022. So I'm like quite new in the plus. So my first world championship in the plus was South Africa, where I ended up sixth. And I remember telling Christoph and Steve and the rest that I was gonna 2022, I was gonna give Monica the run for her money. I ended up sixth I was a little bit ambitious, don't get me wrong. I ended
That's
up
okay.
sixth at the I mean I total like what 587.5 in South Africa. And then somebody is like in the 670s, and I'm looking at them like, yeah, I'm gonna give her a run for her money next year. I was just that confident. And I remember Steve and the rest, they laughed. They laughed and they said I should give myself 3 years. That I believe that I can do it, but I shouldn't rush it. I'm like, I'm not saying that I'm gonna win. I'm saying that even if she wins, she's gonna have to fight for it. That's what I said.
Mm.
And that is exactly what happened in 2023. I mean, that was exactly a year after. And I know that I made a lot of progress in 2022. I think I added like 100 kilos on my total in that same year. And so heading into after Euros in 2022, where I won Euros, my first Euros I won, and I won the best female lifter. I feel like Bonica resented me for some reason, I just because before that I really admired what she has done. She's been in that weight class, she's held that weight class for like so long. And when I met her in South Africa, I was like fangirling moment for me. And she followed me back on Instagram. We followed each other, and she was reacting on almost everything that I posted. But heading into Euros, because of so much progress I was making, I feel like there was like this resentment coming from her, because then there was a high building up on me, to be
Mm.
the one to challenge her. And I don't think that she really liked that, and she was open for any I don't think she was open for any competition. And so I just took it personal, I took it personal. I was like, after Euros, Joey had nominated me to get a wild card for Sheffield, and she absolutely hated that idea. And so she went on her story for like 2 days talking about how Euro shouldn't be used for the qualifications for Sheffield and blah blah blah. So I was like,
Really?
if you're scared of competition, then you're really not a champion, because a champion will never be scared of competition. So I took that thing personal. I was like, everything she does in the gym, I'm gonna double it. Everything she does, I'm gonna double it. That's for squat. That's like literally how it was for me. Heading into a world championship in 2023, Bonica was not my competition. I didn't see her as a threat. I didn't see her as a competition. I knew I was gonna win until 1 week out.
So, because it's wild that, well, first off, in terms of Bonica's approach to competition, sometimes you see this. You see competitors, they're happy for you until you get too close. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
things turn. And,
yeah.
people need whatever competitive edge or whatever they do to get themselves fired up. It is
Mhm.
what it is, right?
Yeah,
And then in turn, you could do the same back and be like, oh, okay,
yeah.
it's like that. All right. But going into the world championship, so you didn't think she was going to be able to put that progress onto her total.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I had myself at 700. That's where I literally had myself on heading into the world championship in 2023. And but 1 week out, I was hurt. Not even 1 week out. I mean, 3 weeks out, I fell off my steps, my electric steps, and I had a tear in my supraspinatus. Is it? Yeah, supraspinatus muscle. And then 1 week out of the competition, I fell at 220 in the gym overhead where I also injured my supraspinatus on the right. So both of them were like
Oh my gosh.
and I was also dealing with a calf injury. There was like this pressure that I mean in my calf that each time I squat to depth, I feel like it's gonna explode. And there's like pain. Sometimes I'm limping around and stuff like that after a squat session. So heading into that, I know I remember when we were in Malta and on Friday, because normally I don't do anything on Friday, I don't train anymore on Friday. And Joey is like, go and check the bench and see how the body feels because I refused to take ibuprofen because I wanted to see how I was healing, to monitor the out because yeah, I was gonna quit. I was like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to the world championship. And Joey's like, you still have 1 week to decide. So just do what you can do within the 1 week and then you can decide. So I went to the sport doctor and he's like, you can it's not gonna get worse, but you're just gonna have to buy it through the pain. I'm like, oh, okay, then I'm fine.
And this is Malta.
Yeah, this was Malta. So
So
I
you,
remember
you
we got there to Malta and Joey's like, go and check out and see how you feel. It was on a Friday. It was like literally, I mean, competition was on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And so I went to the gym, like I went to the IPF gym where we had to train. And I was like trying to just see how it feels. Bench was still very quite painful, but I could still move like I think I did like 100 kilos there in the gym. And then that's when I saw Bonica came in with her team, saw me, and she stomped out.
really just like, whoa.
That that act of her gave me the confidence that I needed. I knew that I've won. I mean, I haven't. We're not on stage yet, but I knew that I had already won mentally. Because if the fact that you cannot even be in the same, I have never said nothing bad about Monica, literally 100% nothing. I've never said anything bad. And if you cannot be in the same place with me, then yeah, what else is left to
Thumbs
say?
up. It's interesting because obviously she's been competing forever, but she's never been in a situation where there's this many strong ladies as
Yeah.
strong or stronger.
Hmm.
And it happened all at once. It
Yeah.
felt like, boom, all of a sudden, the entire competition around her leveled up. Again,
Yeah.
like Brittany in 2021, it was the talk. It was the talk from Bonica. You won because I wasn't there. It was through politics. And now
Yeah.
you, Brittany, the rest, like, you got Natalie, you got a lot of 84 pluses that everybody's leveled up. And now
Yeah.
all of a sudden she went from being untouchable to what's
Not
happening.
even top
But
five.
it's crazy how quickly it happens in a sport like powerlifting. In
Yeah. I feel like Bonica, she should have taken the fall with a little bit more grace, but she didn't. To me, I mean, it was like there was no reason to act like that. Um, because I remember I went back to the venue and a Belgian person that was still in the training room sent me a message that she had waited in the lobby until I was gone before she came in. I'm like, if you're doing all of that just to come and warm up in front of me in the in the warm up area, you're not trying hard enough.
So I wonder if she got into her own head doing stuff like that. Like
She
if
did.
you build it up in your head too much, like there's a level of, I don't know, call it spice or something to motivate you. Fine.
Yeah,
But if you do it too much to the point where it's impacting your training session leading into the day.
yeah,
So you get there early at the world championships, you get to the venue, you got a couple more training sessions to do that
yeah,
week, and you're there earlier in the week. If it impacts you to the point where you're missing your training sessions or you're offsetting them and changing them, and it impacts you to the point where if you walk into the lobby and they're there, well, now you got to walk out and wait until they leave. It starts, you wonder, like, how is that affecting your sleep? How is that affecting everything?
yeah.
It's maybe too much. It
Yeah.
probably went too much into it.
Yeah, that's what I told him. When I left there, when she sent me the message, I told him like, see, I won. I mean, whether Bonica wins me, but even if she won on the competition, I'd already won. I already win because I knew that she's so scared of me that that gave me like this confidence. I am a very strong mental. I mean, my mental is different level. I don't let. I mean, no, I don't think that something like that will affect me the way it affected her. And I understand you've been there for 10 years, but that is me. I am open for competition. I am like, I am good today, but I'm sure somebody's gonna rise up tomorrow that is gonna challenge me. I mean, that shouldn't make me feel like I should hate the person that comes to challenge me or that I should be resentful towards other people. No, it's like when I'm competing against Brittany. I remember the World Championship 2022. I told her in the warm up area, or when we're already competing. I told her like, if I don't win this for both of us. That's just me. I mean, I love Brittany as a person, and I love her too as a competitor. Like, she makes me want to be the best of who I am. I mean, that is what it's all about. It's not like we push each other to get to better, become better. And if I see her doing something, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to level up my game too. But I'm not gonna be mentally dwelling there or like trying to like act like, I don't know. It was very strange. Her behavior was very, very strange. I just didn't know what to say about it.
Well, things got even weirder because at that world championship, so if we go back 2023 Malta,
Yeah.
were you paying attention to what was going on with the other lifters? Obviously,
She
squats. It was
I,
fantastic. Go ahead.
she was warming up in front of me. I was paying
Well,
attention.
wow, this is getting juicy. Whoa. So how
See, let me
was it?
tell you, right? So we had like everything planned out, and the thing that I didn't like about the world championship was the fact that I had lost a chip on the squats, and I wanted to go head to head with Bonica. I wanted to load 290, but Joey did not want that because my calf, my shoulder, he didn't know when it was gonna, I was gonna start hurting because I was on ibuprofen. So he didn't know he didn't want it to affect the bench or the deadlift. So we were like trying to hold back because you saw my squat, there was space. I could have still handled my 290. So I wanted to go. I didn't feel like I got the battle that I wanted from Bonica because it wasn't a head to head on that squat. I wanted a head to head on that squat. So I wanted to win it, knowing that I won it, not because she bumped out. But anyways, that being said, I remember we were like warming up on deadlift, and I had put my deadlift, I put it on a safe opener. So we were warming up, and I saw her last deadlift because she was like literally in front of me, and I saw her last deadlift. I'm like, guys, go bump up my opener to 10 kilos more.
So, so okay, first off, I want to know what you saw because I heard, but the squat battle of
Mhm.
2023 was absolutely sensational. From
It was
Brittany
crazy.
taking the world record to you taking the
Yeah.
world record to
Yeah.
even though Bonica bombed. So, for anyone listening, if you bomb, your world records are gone. You have to have
Yeah.
a total for your world record to stand. She briefly had that world
Mhm.
record 289. We're well past that with your 311, but
Yeah.
which is crazy in a year, the progress you made, first off. But, anyways, not to jump ahead too much. But that squat battle was absolutely sensational between you ladies.
Yeah.
Bonica, who had the best resume, in and out of equipment. You had Brittany and yourself, and it was a
Yeah.
sensational squat battle. Did you, before we get into deadlifts, did you realize at the time, were you paying attention and realizing that that squat world record was getting volleyed back and forth? Or did you have your blinders on and you're just doing your lifts and you're not paying attention to what's going on around with the other lifters?
I wasn't paying attention to anything else than Bonica. I came
Really?
there for Bonica, and I was there for Bonica. That was like, I told him like we had focused so much on Bonica that we like didn't see who was coming behind or who was doing what behind because Bonica was the goal.
Right. Well, I mean, it makes sense for a couple of reasons. She's the most decorated power lifter for sure in
Yes.
84
Yes.
plus,
Yeah.
and she made it in a way personal with you. Well,
Mhm.
not in a way. I mean, obviously you
Yeah,
felt
it was.
right.
It
So,
was personal. It wasn't just the world championship. It was about something.
Net, I mean, I wish we had cameras around to tell this story Because as sensational as that battle was,
Mhm.
if we knew how the personal levels of tension and the cameras are around for it, that's sports. People would be like, oh my, you could, when you can cut the tension with a knife,
Yeah.
it's so much better to watch because you're like, oh, who's going to give? Who's going to? And then when the squat session happened, which is one of the greatest squat sessions we'd ever seen, we'd
Mhm.
never seen weight like that tossed around by three different ladies. It was crazy. All three of you guys going 280 and up was sensational. And then after that, so when you're after the squat battle, are you thinking you guys are neck and neck? You're in the hunt. It's tight, or what were you thinking after that squat battle?
I mean, it was tight. I wanted to be ahead after the squat battle, Bonica. I wanted to like really be ahead. I had expected that she was gonna be somewhere around 290, but I knew I was also gonna be lifting 290. So I really wanted to be ahead. I mean, I was so focused on Bonica that after the competition, I realized that Tassi had squatted 277.5. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, she was that close to me. I didn't like really, I didn't know anything behind me. I just knew that Bonica was ahead of me. So, but heading into bench, I knew that she had 4.5 kilos on me on squats. And so then I lost my second bench. So I failed the second and I retook the second. I lost 5 kilos there on bench. And she benched quite a lot on me. So I didn't see that coming, But I realized that is when I realized that she was 13.5 kilos ahead of me on subtotal. So when we were warming up, well, I knew I had a bigger deadlift. So I was like, okay, we're gonna see on the deadlift. So that's why when it came to the deadlift and I was paying so much attention to what she was doing, and when I saw her last warm up, which was I think 220, it wasn't fast. It wasn't like mine was. I mean, my warm up was we were flying. So I because we had talked about it before. I'm like, what is the number that you know that you can still securely hit as an opener? I told them like, see, let's do a 10 because my opener was set at 235. I think hers was set at 230. So I was like, guys, let's bring the opener up to 245. That was like last minute when I saw her last one. I was like, there's no way she's gonna keep up if I do that. So in my mind, I'm like, if we add 10 kilos on that warm up on that opener, I do have only 2.5 kilos to catch, and that is something I can easily do on my second attempt. So that was like my thought process and all those stuff. So when I went and did my opener, if the opener was super fast, it was easy. And then I'm backstage, and then I heard like, yeah, Bonica missed her opener. I'm like, oh shit, we're back in the game.
Let me ask you something. Um, in the warm up room, did you see what her warm ups look like? And did you
Yes.
have any indication that she was going to struggle?
Yeah. I knew that on if she was I mean the warm up like I said the last one was 220 and I didn't think it didn't move fast enough for me to like be like, oh, there's gonna be like 30 kilo more on that. So I thought she was gonna end up with somewhere around 240, 240, 245. That's what I knew. And I wanted to end around 260. So if I end up around 260, it was gonna give me like I wanted to end around actually 260, 262.5. That's why I knew that I was gonna have like that much. I was gonna be that much ahead of her, because I remember coming into the competition. I told my coach team, my coach, that I'm anything above 265. I don't want to do it because I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna hit it. So let's keep everything below 265. So that was the discussion that we had. So I knew that if I ended there, I was gonna be like closer to the to the 700, and Bonica wasn't gonna be there with me. So that's what I knew. So, but when I saw the deadlift, I was like, these openers are not moving fast. I don't think there's gonna be like 30 kilos on this. So I knew I was confident that we were on point. But I wasn't looking at Brittany coming behind. I wasn't looking at anyone else.
Well, so here's some discussion here. So Bonico struggled to get her knees locked.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting as well with the Americans. Obviously, she felt pressure like she's never
Yeah.
felt pressure before
Mm.
because for her to open with 240, if you look at her
Yeah.
deadlifts here, deadlifts leading into the world championship, she hit 252.5 at Sheffield. But previous to that, at World Games, 247 and a half, Previous to that, she left with 242. Previous to that, she left with 240. Previous to that, 240. Previous
Yeah.
to that, 232.5. So you could see where to open with 240, when previous to that, that is not opening weight. That
Yeah.
is definitely she felt pressure like she's never felt pressure before. And it's one
Yeah.
thing to show up to competitions when you have such a big spread. But when you feel pressure, and this is where sometimes we all do mind games with ourselves to get ourselves motivated, to get ourselves amped up and in the right mind frame.
Yeah.
However, if you go overboard and you take it a little too far and it starts impacting you, you start doing things that are counterproductive and against you. And
Yeah.
hearing the backstory that you're giving leading into Malta, it now makes much more sense that she
Yeah.
would do something as crazy rolling the dice as 240 opener.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just way too big. It's but if she felt the pressure and got inside of her own head,
Yeah.
saying, I need this, I need that, I need
Yeah.
whatever. But you
I
don't.
heard that she was telling her coaches that they needed more weight. So because when they saw me at 10 kilos on mine, hers was 230, and she made her team go at another 10 on hers too because she still
So you
wanted
did
to.
first. You
I
changed
did
your
it
opener
first. I
first,
did it
then
first. Yes.
she
Yes.
tried to follow suit.
Yeah. I changed my opener first because I saw her last attempt. I'm like, there's no way. And the thing is, I was warming up in such a way that I can still make a big jump. That is me. I always warm up on plan A and plan B. And so it's either I'm doing a 15 kilo jump or I'm doing a 20 kilo jump to my opener. That is within, it has to always be within that range for me. But if you're doing your last warm up, and it's already looking heavy and you're adding and you're planning to do a 10 kilo jump because her last one was 220. I think she was going to do 230, something around there. So but then she's adding another 10 kilos on it. I knew
That's huge.
there was going to be a problem because it's already off. I mean, just it's off already from your routine. Now, the build up you always do like smaller jumps before you do a warm up, an opener. So I knew it was going to be already off. So I was like, but I have already had that plan. That was the thing. They were just jumping around, adding numbers, but I was just working on a plan that we already had. So that was like if that was the worst, when it come down to the worst case scenario, I can open bigger. But I was also good with opening some more if I had got all my attempts or did the squat I wanted to do or do the bench I wanted to do, I would have been in a good position to open with 235. But because I had failed on bench and I also lost some kilos on squat, I knew that I had to open a bit bigger. So that was like that thing. So, but when I saw her last form, I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna open bigger. We're just gonna do a 10 kilo jump and then lose 10 kilos off. I mean, she's gonna lose 10 kilo off me, and then we're gonna have just 2.5 kilos to cover, which I was perfectly sure my second attempt jump was gonna do that too. So, but when I saw her do that, I told my team to go and up my weight, and then they up my weight, and then she told her team to go and add her still because she saw that and they panicked. I think she panicked a bit because of the jump that I made. And then she also went ahead and bumped up her opener, which she got stuck on. But so it's at the end of the day, it's like I was responsible when it kept bumming out.
What's interesting too? Usually veterans of the game don't make those kind of mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, she is a veteran who's been around for so long.
No.
And
Yeah.
again, it's one thing to use these, motivations to get yourself amplified. Like
Mhm.
Penna will often look at his competitors and find something to get himself fired up about that competitor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing that kind of thing. But you're not, in terms of your opener, you shouldn't be counting on winning or losing based off your opener. It's just an
Yeah.
opener. You stick to the game plan. But
Mhm.
when you're following your competitor and letting them lead you like you did,
Yeah.
usually it's not the veteran who's following and getting steered by the rising contender.
Mhm.
When you allow yourself as the veteran to be guided by the contender, and the contender in the room is like, I'm going to bump up my opener. What are you going to do?
So,
And
yeah.
usually you should be like, you should just stick to your game plan and don't worry about it. They're getting in your head. If you're,
Yeah.
you know, put it this way, Russell or he would talk about doing mind games, leading into a competition, ratcheting up the heat. making it
Mhm.
so you have to talk about him, think about him. He's taking
Yeah.
all the oxygen out of the room. So going into the championship, you were uber focused on him. You're uber focused, too focused on him, kind of
Yeah.
like Bonica was with you, where it starts impacting you. And then on the day of the competition, Russell
Mhm.
said he would do things in the warm up room, like leading into one of the events, he'll walk across your platform purposely, just just taking up space.
Oh shit.
And
Yeah.
it won't be, he's not going to throw you a shoulder. He's not going to say something
Yeah.
rude. But while you're trying to get focused and you're trying to do your thing and you're getting ready for squats, he just walks across your platform in front of your squat bar and just in your line of vision. And he didn't cut you off. You weren't about to go into the bar, but it's
Yeah.
right across your line of vision. And
Yes.
it's not overly aggressive, but you know he did that on
It's a
purpose.
presence.
You
Yeah.
know he could have walked around, but instead he walked right over
Worship
your
for yeah.
platform. He went over to your chalk bowl and he chalked up his hands for deadlifts
Fine.
with your chalk bowl. Just little things like that where going into dead, you're like, God damn. Little things to keep the foot on the gas
Mhm.
and keep him on the forefront of your mind. And
Mhm.
while you're trying to stay focused on your own lifts and your own game plan, he's going to pull you out of it. And these are
Yeah.
things that a veteran who's been around the block, like Russell Orhe, will do.
Yeah.
That's why it's very interesting that Bonica, who's been doing this forever, did it to herself. You weren't even doing this to her. You weren't, she was chasing you and I think she was
Yeah.
trying to do mental games to herself and just went a little too overboard.
Overboard. Yeah. I remember telling him like, see, I didn't start this, but I'm yet to finish it. Anyways, that's just me. I didn't start it, but if you start it, I'm gonna finish it for both of us. And yeah, it was just such a day that I remember when I loaded my last day, they're like, you need this to win. I'm like, wait, what? Because I thought I already won. I was ahead. Because
You're
again,
looking at
I
Bonica.
didn't. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I was looking at Bonica, so I didn't see Brittany coming. So when they're like, you need to, because I told them like I don't want to go above 265. So when they're telling me that they loaded 267.5, and I'm like, no. They're like, yeah, you need this if you need to win. I'm like, how?
No, no, we're not. So it was only at the end that you looked around like, oh shit,
Yeah,
Brittany's right here.
yeah. That's when I knew I was not gonna have it. That's the only time. I really thought I was played out. I was like when Bonica failed first opener, failed second, failed it, tried again and failed it the second time. I knew I was like done. I was played out. I didn't even think I needed to come out for the last.
You were popping champagne. You were pouring glasses. You were handing out glasses and pouring champagne back there. Like congratulations. You called your mom. You called your. Yeah, I won. I won.
Yes,
You was
yes.
crazy. Well, I mean, well, so let's talk about this at the end. First off, when Bonica bombed out, what was it like back there? What was the vibe from Team USA? In the vibe in the warm up room period.
I think from the beginning, even before the bombing out, she was very cold to everyone. It wasn't only to me. I don't think she was like, because she was sitting at the entrance while we are all sitting where the room where the TV and the things are, and how do you see the waiting room? I see that, is that a waiting room, I think? But
Yeah,
she was always sitting
yeah.
somewhere else. So I didn't even see her after I came off my last deadlift. I cannot even remember because I just knew she was like very cold from the beginning to the end. So I didn't hear no word from Team USA or nothing. I know that I was celebrating with Team Canada, but not with Team USA.
Because then afterwards, of course, there was like the controversy of in the ceremony and what she had posted on her stories and stuff. And were
Yeah,
you
so
aware of all that kind of stuff too?
no, so many people asked me like, how do I feel the fact that I think there was a part where I got called on stage and she took out her phone. Actually, you can literally see like I got called on stage and she took out her phone, and so a lot of people are asking me like, how do you feel about it? And like, oh, I'm like, that just proved to she just showed everybody who she is. It's not really something I don't have nothing to say about it. She did that herself. I mean, that's why I say she could have fallen a bit more graceful, but she like just when she dived in, both hands, feet all together into the hole. because I feel like she has done so much that she could have like really just protected that image of what she had done, not doing those kind of stupid things, but she was being impulsive. I think she just like was doing all kind of stuff because there was some I watched some of the video on YouTube and people were talking about her on the comment. They're like, yeah, this is who she act. This is she just showed the whole world truly who she is and blah 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 and all those stuff. But I really did not think much about it because I didn't notice. I know that it was mentioned at the banquet, but I only saw that after I rewatched the competition. That I was like, oh, okay, this is actually more worse. This is worse than it actually there than it looks. So by then I wasn't following Bonica anymore because I'm like I think I had deleted her. I didn't unfollow her. I deleted her because I heard via that she wasn't really taking the internet thing mentally well. So I was like, I don't want to be this. I mean, I don't want to become an internet bully. I am not an internet bully. So and if she cannot handle the tension and whatever, I'm just gonna take her off. I don't want nobody having sleepless nights because of me. So I just deleted her off my Instagram, and so I didn't see her story or anything like that. So
Would have handled it more gracefully for sure. I mean, she made a post. Um, it was just a little. Here's what it is. Sometimes when it hits the fan, things don't go as planned. You feel emotional about it. Fair enough. We'll all be attached to certain things.
yeah,
But before you go and post, give yourself 24 hours, maybe even give yourself 48 hours.
yeah,
Tell
yeah,
yourself, I am how I'm feeling right now because she felt as though her deadlift should have passed. At least, I don't want to speak for her, but this is what it appeared as though she felt her deadlift should have passed and that she shouldn't have bombed out. And I get that there's a lot of emotion, training, and the way that you expect your day to go, and it didn't go that way.
mhm,
And how you feel in that moment, I can't imagine. It's going to be very, very difficult, a
yeah,
hard pill to swallow for sure. But having said that, when you know you feel that way, 24 hours before you say anything, 24 hours before you post anything, 24 hours just to calm down. Because when you grab your phone before you even leave the platform, when everyone's on there still getting their medals and
middle.
you're upset, so you're on your phone, you're kind of half in, half out paying attention, and you're posting. Some people thought maybe even she posted while still on the platform. I don't know. Um, but when you post things, and you're talking poorly about it, it's not going to be your best self. Hopefully she learned from it. Like, oh wow. I mean, even though she's a competitor, she had never been in that situation before, where she
Yeah,
was in a
but she was
fierce
just
battle like that. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, no, I mean she was just quick to give blames to the jury, to the judges, whatever. But then she's forgetting to take the blame for herself for falling under. I mean, folding under pressure because she had no business increasing her opener. That's just the fact because I saw her last warm up. She had no business increasing that opener. So I mean, there's also that I was told if you're pointing the finger at someone, the rest of your finger points back at you. So you should also take part of the blame. So
That's what champions got to do, right? That's the only way you're going to get better is to look at yourself, get introspective, and start making adjustments. And
yeah,
speaking of adjustments, after that world championship, so you said Brittany kind of flew under your radar. You
mhm,
guys were, in the late 600s going into Sheffield. Both you and Brittany leveled up.
yeah,
Both of you guys over 700 kilos. Both of you guys put an enormous amount of kilos onto your total. And
mhm,
obviously, your sights were set on Brittany then. How much?
yeah.
What did you do to level up? Was this just normal progress that you were making? Did you make adjustments?
Um, I think that what I really was adapting to and adjusting to was the fact that I was gaining body weight and my body was, I mean, my leverages were different and I had to adapt to certain stuff. But before that, I was really focusing on holding to the old style of lifting that I had, trying to click onto them because I thought that was the way I was strong. But I think a bigger part of 2023 was me adjusting and adapting to my body, changing and allow myself to grow with it. I mean, the way I squat going wider, the way I deadlift, gripping the bar wider. So it was just all of those little things that I know that I had to change because I have huge quads. My quads are so big, like they're the downfall of my deadlift, but they are like the savior of my squats. So
It's a give and take, right?
yeah,
So your goal for Sheffield was obviously that 300 kilo squat to break the first woman to ever squat 300 kilos.
306. That was the goal.
Oh, really? Okay. Why 306 in particular?
It was just because of having a bit of 10 kilo ahead, on on subtotal. I think it was a little bit more than 10 kilos. I think it was like 15 kilos actually. If I had done what I had to do, I would have had like more than 15 kilos. I would have been more than 15 kilo ahead. But because I had like a slight misgroup on the second attempt, which you saw it stopped, and then I went back out, and Joey was like, "No, we're not loading 306."
Look at I understand where Joey's coming from just because the moment of you squatting 300 kilos like flew all over the internet. I mean, you're
Yeah,
the first. Whenever you're the first, everyone remembers it. And you don't
yeah,
want to gamble that away. You don't want to risk it because that moment is a moment that's yours now forever. And to
yeah.
do it at an event like Sheffield, everybody's watching. Everybody's
Mhm.
watching. That clip went like flew all over the place. This woman squatted 300 kilos. So I get where
Yeah.
Joey's coming from, where it's like, hey, listen, let's just get into the 300s and we're looking good.
Actually, if you watch like the Sheffield video after the 290.5, you will see Joey and I talking a little bit longer than usual. Like at the at the attempt section where I was like, he's like, I think we were debating because I was like, okay, I agree we shouldn't load 306, but I think he wanted us to do 295, and I'm like,
Oh,
I told him
so he
like,
got
see, I have
scared. He
trained.
got rattled.
Yeah, I was like, no, I have trained for this. I prepared mentally, physically for 200 kilos on on this stage. If I don't do it here, I don't see where else I can do it at. And he was like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna trust you, but if you don't have it, I'm taking over.
You know what? I've had similar conversations before too.
Yeah,
And it really does put the onus on the lifter, where it's like, listen, fine, this is yours. You don't hit this the rest of the day. I'm taking the
I'm
wheel.
taking taking the wheel.
You're like, I gotta hit this. I gotta
Yeah,
hit this. And when you
but I
walked
was
it out, how
confident.
did it feel? When
I
you
was
walked it
100%
out,
confident. I
oh
was
really? Yeah.
so confident. I had done that lifting training, and I knew that this is what I came to Sheffield for. Was part of what I came here for, to like hit that 200 kilos on the Sheffield stage. I mean, before all of the whole crowd. I mean, I just had to feed them something. I have to give them food to eat, and 200 kilos was the food for it.
Oh yeah. It was. You did well. That's to say the least.
And
Um,
when I worked it out, it felt smooth. The workout was clean because sometimes I tend to be very bumpy when I work out my squat. The workout was very clean and it felt good. I felt like I could have done more. That's like literally how I felt. And I remember coming out, it's kind of a weird situation because, I lift those heavy weights. Sometimes I do pee myself, where it's a normal thing out here for me in the gym. So I remember coming out of the bottom and all I was thinking was like, oh shit, I'm peeing myself in front of all these people.
you're like, well, this isn't exactly how I. You're like,
I
best
know.
moment of my life and a humbling moment at the same time. It's just I got mixed emotions on that one. This is gonna go viral. It is fine. It is what it is.
It was crazy because when I come on, people ask me like, "How did it feel? How did it feel lifting?" I'm like, I don't even remember how it felt. I don't even remember how it felt, if it was heavy or not, or if it felt heavy or not. I just
You
remember
know
that.
what?
Oh, I was thinking about this. I don't want to pee myself.
That saved you. Maybe peeing yourself took your mind off of the weight. It
Yeah,
made you focus on that, anyways. It was a blessing. It was a blessing. You're like, oh, good. Oh, good. I'm peeing this time. All right. But
yeah,
at the very least, in powerlifting, we're used to this. We like it's nothing. Like for us in powerlifting, but this is what happens. It is what it is.
yeah,
We
yeah.
don't even think twice about
No, no. I mean, it's not. Joey has to remind me every day. I shouldn't forget that. At the end of the day, I'm still a woman lifting all these weights. I mean, science would say it's not possible, but I am doing those things in the gym. So it's not something where it's my body takes it lightly. I do have effect. I mean, I do have side effect of lifting heavy weights on my body. I noticed that here and there. So it's yeah. So it's not something easy to do.
You were the first woman to do 300 kilos. Now you've done 311, 317.5. We're looking at 700 pounds. Are you going to be the first woman to squat 700 pounds?
Uh I better be. I better be.
Yeah. Well, is this a target for you? Is this something that you're
I
targeting?
think that's the minimum what I hope for Sheffield. That's like the minimum what I hope for Sheffield.
Well, I mean, this first off, we were all super excited to see you hit 300. And here we are now talking about Sheffield. Do you want to see the first woman ever to squat 700 pounds? You got to tune into Sheffield.
100%. 100%. I love feeding the crowd.
Feed them because we're hungry. We're, we're hungry come Sheffield. I mean, it's crazy. You can't miss this. I remember what 300 kilos was like. Now to
Yeah.
think that a woman squatting 700 pounds, we're so far beyond what we used to think was top end in the 84 pluses. I mean, it's remarkable. And then looking at your total, kind of, we're already at 731. Again, 2 years ago in 2022, late 600s was good, huh?
Yeah.
670, 675 was like amazing. Bonica's crushing with that. You are now over 50 kilos beyond that.
Yeah.
And you're into the 730s, which is, it's crazy how quickly we've gotten here.
Yeah.
What are we looking at for total, do you think?
The thing is, when I remember when I came off Sheffield, I World Championships, and people like, yeah, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot by pushing the total so high. You could have maybe kept some in, and maybe you would have been holding me at Sheffield. And I'm like, I don't want to stand back World Championship for Sheffield. Like Christoph always says, Sheffield is a competition where you just look for another gear. That's what it's not supposed to take off the world championships, but it's just supposed to be that competition where you come and push boundaries. And that is what I want to do. I mean, I want to go to Sheffield and still add kilos on my total. Saying exactly number, I'm not sure. I don't know because I want my deadlift and bench to be in a good position. That's what I just talked to him about. I told him like I'm gonna take squat a little bit light heading into the next block because this is gonna be week 4 of my block. So then I'm gonna take squat a bit light so I can let the lift and bench pick up a little bit, and then we can see what we can expect for Sheffield. But I know that when it comes to squat, I can put a number on squat. I can be like minimum for me. I want to hit 700 pounds because that's something that's big out there with Americans pounds.
I
We're
mean,
good with kilos here.
it'll blow up. It'll be another viral moment. You
Yeah,
be the first woman. It might even be more viral than 300 kilos because pounds is pounds, right? It
it's a big
sounds bigger.
thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
700. I bet I mean, I don't know if you remember, because I know this is before your powerlifting, but when Ray Williams was the first to squat 1,000 pounds, it made mainstream news. I went to work that day, the following day, and everyone at work was talking about 1,000 pound squat by Ray Williams. You be the first woman to squat 700 pounds. I'm telling you, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
I'm hoping for that, but it's like it makes me wonder, like, what are there even limits to what the physical human? I feel like our mind is the only thing that put limits on us because I remember just not long ago where a lot of people were like, well, a lot of people were telling me, especially the UK team, Jerins and Anna and the rest, they're like, you're gonna be the first woman to hit 300 kilos. I'm like, no, please, I don't want to break a leg because it's just like my mind, like looking at a number in a hole is just insane. And then the second Euros, which was I think that was like wait, that was yeah in December 2023 hours, and we were talking about it. I'm like, it was so amazing how casual it became just talking about 200 kilos. That was because I hit 290 in the gym before I went to Euros, a month out. And they were talking about the 200 kilos, and it just sounds so casual. I'm like, do you guys really know what we're talking about here? You're talking about a woman hitting 300 kilos, and we're just talking like it's a normal thing. It's not normal.
Yeah. Oh, listen, that squat battle that was sensational in 2023 Worlds, the world record stopped at 289 until Bonica bombed out. She had the world record
Yeah,
289,
yeah.
289. And then very quickly, 290 in the gym for you is like, if it doesn't move quickly, you're disappointed.
Let me tell you something. Like that 290 I did in the gym, I was working. I because I was 9 to not even 9 to 5. I was working from 7 to 4 o'clock or 4 p.m. And that was working every day. That was my job. I was working. It was a physical job because I was working in production. And I went to work. That was the ending of my block. That week that I did the 290 was the end of my block. uh no, my block had to end the previous week. So I was expecting Joey to, because Joey, I think he was not feeling fine. So he couldn't make my program on time. So he sent me like a program for the week, and I was expecting a deload. I was so tired. I got up like so I was barely on 5 hours of sleep. I got up at 6 o'clock and I went to work and I worked the whole day. And I got home and then I was looking at Joey had sent me a message about what to do in a day and I saw RP8. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Like, deloads off. We're
I'm
pushing.
like, I'm like, what the hell? I was like so tired, and I remember I fell asleep because we were still training in Antwerpen in my former gym. It was like an hour plus drive to the gym just to get there, and I fell asleep in the car on my way to the gym, and I was like really just done for the day. So we came out of the gym. There was a nice shop beside the gym, so I bought an ice cream. like, I'm like, I need some quick sugar. And so
Yeah.
I bought like some ice cream and I ate it. And I was telling Chris, I'm like, I hope I can do 260 for this RP8 training today. That was like my hope for that day. And I went into the gym and then I started warming out. I take my pre-workout. I took like double shot of caffeine pills. And the warm up just start going fast and fast and fast. And every time it's just moving faster. And I did 217. And they were like, that's not even RPE 6. I loaded two. I think I did 265. No, 265. That's not RPE 6. So I did 280. And it was like, they were like, no, that's not even RPE 7. So I loaded 290.
Here we are. Here we are.
It was so amazing that I could go through the whole day and go and hit a 5 kilo PR in the gym. That was crazy. That was a 4.5 kilo all-time PR for me.
And you said like previously you were working in production, etc. Do people back home know that you're the strongest woman alive? Like, how crazy
From
is this now
Cameroon
for people in your
or
life?
from Belgium?
In Belgium, your friends, your family, period. Since you've won the world championships and obviously you've had these huge moments squatting 300, squatting 311, etc. Do people around you in your day-to-day normal life, are they like, Sonita, what the hell is going on? You're the strongest woman alive? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I do in a gym in our gym at the moment. Like you just see them always amazed on how when I'm squatting, it's like just see everybody go like, and how I'm moving the weight. And I think from my community where I live, it's like they know me, they all know me. So it's like when I go out, it's like I on the way for stuff like that. So it's even the mayor of my city came to my house. He gave me flowers and some gifts. Yeah, and
That's first off, that's amazing. And I'm glad to hear that. You know how often I ask powerlifters when you went back home, what happened? What kind of reception did you get? And more often than not, they're like, oh no, like the general population, nothing. I'm like, you're a world champion, nothing. But to hear that the mayor personally came to your house with flowers is amazing.
yeah.
It like freak, you got a not only do you have a world champion, you got the strongest woman in the world in your
In
town.
the
Of
world. Yeah, they,
course.
they say that. They say that. I went to vote. I remember I went to vote and the ladies they were just talking about don't look for her trouble because she's the strongest woman in the world and she lives in our city.
See?
But I think the powerlifting side of the Flemish side of Belgium, ah, it's like nobody cares. That's the regular people. You see, when they know, when they've heard about me, they do. You can see that they're like, that they're like kind of amazed of how strong I am. But when it comes to like the Flemish side of, because Belgium is like quite divided into two. We have two different federations. You have the Flemish side and the French side, and they also have different federations. The Flemish side is a
Really?
little bit, yeah. I mean, I go to a competition is like, nobody even says hi.
Wait a minute. So there's two national federations, or these are
Yeah,
regional? There's two national federations. That's crazy.
yeah.
How does that even work? Are they both
No,
IPF recognized?
no, no, wait. Sorry. They are two different federations, but they represent. They both go under one federation. I mean, they just go. They both go under Belgium for World
Okay, gotcha,
Championships.
gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
All right. So it's kind of like Canada, where we have Quebec, and Quebec is predominantly French.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is how it is. But when I go to the French side, like if I go for the competition, they are like so nice. The announcer is gonna announce me like, "Sonny, this is Sonita, like the strongest woman in Belgium or in the world. The woman that squatted 200 kilos the first time," and you just hear the crowd start cheering. It's a big difference. I don't know. I feel like it's always the case where you don't know what you have until you lose it, kind of thing with the Flemish side. But I feel like more appreciated or more recognized when I go to the French side of Belgium for their competitions.
Why
So
would they
yeah,
not? I don't get
I
it.
don't know.
It's crazy. Like, why would you not celebrate when you have the strongest woman in the world and be like, she's one of us?
I don't
Or
know. Then
do they not feel like they don't identify you as one of them? I don't know how Belgium works in terms of, I don't know how all that works. Obviously, it sounds like there's two different sides and,
yeah,
and you got pushed onto the other side.
it's a very small country, but they have a lot of problems.
Oh,
They
gotcha.
cannot
Okay.
agree on anything.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
it's really weird because I mean it's the same thing. I left my former gym similar to the same reason because I feel like I mean, I was doing so much with the gym and I was putting the gym so much forward, but in return, they don't show up on any of my competitions. And but they will show up to the people that are their friends to their competition to watch. So and to support. So that was like also one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, see, I'm just gonna go to I'll rather just go to a basic fit, to a commercial gym actually than actually train here. So but it's really weird. It's really weird. But when I'm out of Belgium, it's like I feel like I am a champion. People treat me like I am a world champion. But when I'm in Belgium, it's just there's nothing there.
Going into Sheffield, Brittany is returning. What are your expectations there? Because for your performance at Worlds, obviously you're the front runner and
Mhm,
everyone's think like you're the heavy favorite now. But
mhm.
are you telling yourself this is still tight? This could be a battle right down to the last deadlift. Brittany could level up just like I leveled up. Or are you telling yourself, this is my show, this is my time. I'm just adding on. I'm going to level up again and again and again and create a bigger gap.
Yeah, that is my point here. That's my point of view. Yeah. I mean, I am already. I I did total 731 at the World Championship. I see them chasing that, no, that number. To be somewhere ahead in. I mean, to be like top 10 or whatever at Sheffield or top whatever. But that's the thing. I am not gonna be one chasing that number anymore. I have given myself that opportunity to the fact that I just pace ahead. So whoever is trying to hit 100% at Sheffield is going to be chasing the 730 that I've set already. But for me, it's on a good day.
For you, you're already past that and that's behind you.
Yes. So I think like I am on a very good sport where I can just keep pushing. I told him like I want to push the record in the 84 plus to a level where 700 is no longer impressive.
It's amazing. With 700s, like, yeah, you're so far back.
Yeah. Like
I,
that.
you were talking about how people were saying because you hit 731 at the World Championships, people are like, oh, but you really hurt yourself for Sheffield.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I've been around long enough in powerlifting. I've been commentating World Championships since 2016.
Mhm.
Tomorrow is not promised. And
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
get it when people say, well, you could do this for Sheffield. You may never make it to even Sheffield. Things
Oh,
happen all the time, from
thank you.
new contenders emerging out of nowhere like you did to
Yeah.
injuries to God knows what.
Yeah.
Today is today. When you wake up and there's something as special as the World Championships, I never, if someone wants to play it safe or whatever
Mhm.
the heck, you do whatever you think. But when you wake up on the day, if someone says, hey, guess what? It's the world championships, I may never come back. I may
Yeah.
never return. I feel amazing. I'm
Mhm.
dropping the hammer and I'm going all out. I will never fault somebody for that. And for people to be on the outside looking in saying, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that,
Yeah.
they don't know.
Yeah.
It's not promised. I've seen people who have went to world championships, taken
Mhm.
that time off to build to whatever the heck, and
I never come back.
they never end up
Yeah.
making it.
Yeah.
Doors close. You don't know what's going to happen ahead of time.
Yeah.
So if you wake up and you're at the world championships, you better swing for that ball like you're going to hit it out the park, like you're never going to be able to swing again, because you might
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Don't take things for granted. You
Yeah.
you it's not the way life works. If you could just lay it all out on the table and be like, well, then I'll do this, then the next year I'll do that, then the next year I'll do
Yeah.
that. That's not
Yeah.
how. Yeah, well, guess what? Your plans are not life's plans. Life will
100%.
shake it up. So
100%.
you wake up on that day, eat the food on your plate, and don't leave a
Yeah.
freaking crumb.
I mean, if Christian Ten, the guy from my gym, is watching, is listening to this, I had this conversation with him where he was like, I don't know if because he just came up the juniors. He's like, I don't know if I'm gonna make, I don't, if I'm ready to go to the open yet. I'm like, if you qualify, take the chance. I
Yeah,
live in the moment. I don't live that. I mean, even the Bible says that I should worry about tomorrow. Today, I should worry about the food I can eat today because tomorrow will come with its own problem and solutions. So I told him like if as with me, I go according to how I mean life is presents with what life presents to me. If today like I'm gonna go all out at this competition, I go all out at this competition. That is just me. I don't know what tomorrow is gonna bring. You're doing a sport where you're moving so much weight, and one day you're hurt, the next day you cannot even get out of the bed. And I mean, like for example, I may his soul rest in peace. Stanley just recently passed away. Who would have ever known? Who
right.
would have ever known? And it was a shock to everyone. It's like that's what life is. Life is full of misery. So if you live today, if you're awake today, if you're alive today, grab the opportunities that you get,
Yeah.
and then see what tomorrow brings. Because when at the World Championships, I remember when we got the card of everybody's openers, we thought they were joking. We look at those openers, we're like, are they trying to trick us?
Yeah. You're like, these
Right?
better
I'm
be fake
serious.
openers.
Well, I'm like, these openers cannot be right because I had stretched everyone ahead so much that I was like, these openers cannot be right. But then we're like, we're gonna stay to the game. We're gonna stay true to what we had come here to do. And if I was feeling good, we were warming up. I'm like, I'm feeling good. And then we went and increased my openers on because all of my openers that I put in were like plan B for that day, because I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna end. Even though I was feeling more confident than I was before I head to the competition. I went there earlier. I was at the venue every day, just watching everyone, go all out and chase for their goals and chase for that podium. Get me like this fire. I came back the very first time where I was a bit settled and more confident was on Wednesday, where I came back from the venue and I was in the hotel. I told Chris, like, see, this is the only time I'm calm. I've been having nightmares, and this is the only time where I'm like calm. I feel confidence because just going out there and see everybody fight for that podium sport has really brought that fire in me. And that was the first time I was excited for the World Championships. And so when I was there, we were warming up, I saw those openers. We were like, yeah, I'm not sure these are real, but we're just gonna, stage the plan. So even no matter what was going on, we had last minute we realized that nobody changed the openers. I was like, oh shit.
Like you were thinking they're below what you wanted, or
They were below what I expected. So I was
mm,
I was looking at the numbers. I'm like, these are low. This is below what I had expected for them. I know. I really hope put Britney at a very high esteem. I have like a lot of appreciation for her. But I look at the opener. I thought it was Britney was not warming up in the same room with us. She and her team had went to the single room that was on the side. I think there was like one rack in that room. So they were warming up over there. So I was with Alexis and the rest of the team and Natalie and uh the rest of the whole team. So the whole 84. So when I saw the openers, I saw the people I was gonna compete against for the podium. which was Brittany and Alexis. I'm looking at the openers. I'm like, something is not adding up.
You're like, I think I'm going to be way ahead, maybe.
Yeah, that was like the thing. I look at it, I'm like, but because I had set my mind on a 9 for 9 day, I didn't care what everyone else was putting on anymore.
And
I was
things can
like,
change. People could take big jumps, so you could get
yes,
surprised. You got to
yeah.
be careful with openers.
I'm like, I'm not gonna give no one the space to outpull me on that deadlift. I mean, it's like, it's painful winning, leading the competition, and then somebody just come and just out for you, and then just the last Hail Mary pull and then take everything from you. It's quite painful. Been there before.
Fair enough.
So I was
Listen,
looking at it, I'm like, we're going 9 for 9, and that was the goal. I didn't care. I mean, even after my last deadlift, Joey was like, you don't even have to go off your last for your last deadlift. I'm like, I came here for 9 for 9. So I'm still gonna show for my last deadlift. It's either I have it or I don't have it, but I know that I wanted the 9 for 9 day. So
let's take a quick 2 second pee break. Come back. I want to double back on Sheffield in your future,
mhm.
some of your future goals, and yeah. So 2 second pee break. Sound good?
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay.
Um, what are your goals for the future? We talked about obviously Bonica had quite the era, stacked title on title, but this is a different era now. The ladies have leveled up.
Mhm.
What are your goals? Do you plan on continuing this on for as long as you can? Do you have an exit date where you're like, you know what, I want a few world championships and then I'm pulling out? What do you see?
I don't really have an exit date, but I want to go like by like year after year because your mind can change on things and you can want different things in life and all that. So I have the whole next year set out. So which is Sheffield World Championships and World Games. I did ask Pete about the World Games and World Championship are quite close together, and I want to win the World Games. But so can I pass out on a World Championship? How do I get my qualification for Sheffield? He's like, nah,
Really?
yep.
Okay, okay.
It's like it's gonna the world Sheffield is gonna be based only from the World Championships, sorry. And so I am stuck between doing the World Championship 8 weeks out of the World Games. That's gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
for some people, like Penna, that's fine. But for other people, the way they
Yeah,
peak and the way the weight roughs up their body. And this
yeah.
is where, because you're doing what you're doing, and like 700 pound squat is crazy.
Mhm,
Is that something where you're like, look at a certain point, that's why you might exit, is to before injuries start piling up, etc. Do
mhm.
you ever ask yourself, hey, look, once I hit certain goals, this is where we stop?
I get curious as time goes by. It's like, what more can I do?
Mm,
See,
right.
340, 350. If I
Oh
keep building
my
up,
god.
would I ever be able to hit the 800? So
Oh
it's not
my god.
something where it's
I mean, who knows? You're still in your
it
20s.
becomes. Yeah, the thing is the fact that I think about it, it's like I don't I don't know where my limits are. So it just makes me want to keep pushing to see, to see where if I do have any limits.
And
So it's sorry. Yeah.
no, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like something where I feel like at a certain point I'm gonna have to sacrifice quite a little bit, reduce my body weight. So because at a certain body weight I can definitely deadlift above 280, that I know. So it's always gonna be me finding a sweet point between my squat and deadlift. So that's but saying that I don't have like my whole journey in powerlifting plan out. I just know that I want to lift it. I want to go year by year if I have the opportunity to keep building, of course. And I am lucky that apart from the fact that I have like some small tendon issues, like my shoulder, which is like in the tendons, I have never really had a muscular injury or a let's say joint bones or stuff like that. And I do blood test like thing every 3 months to make sure that I'm still healthy. I'm trying to like also I know that this is not a day-to-day life, a normal thing. So it takes a toll on my body and stuff like that. So I'm also trying my best to make sure that I'm also keeping healthy, making sure that I'm not pushing something that is about to break. So,
Mm.
but that is just that's just how I'm approaching powerlifting. So it's gonna just be a competition after competition. We see how it go.
How did you find powerlifting?
2020, ending 2019. That was like November, like a week before my birthday. I had lost weight. I came from, I was handball player. So I played handball for a very long time. And when I started working, it was a bit difficult to combine because we had moved. I was playing in the second division of Antwerpen of a team. And but we had moved. My mom had bought a house. We had moved from where I was living, so I had to like start taking like four different buses to get to training. So it became like quite difficult to. My goal was to make it to the national team handball playing, but
Oh wow.
that really stopped quite soon. So I didn't have much to do. I was working, so I was like start eating out because I had my own money. I was making money. So I had
Nice.
gained a lot of weight. So I just like decided 2029 beginning. I started losing weight in March 2029, and before
I mean 2019.
2019. Oh
I
Lord.
got you. I got you. I got you.
And before November that year, I had dropped from I think from 107 to like 83 kilos of body weight. And I just wanted to do something sportive, something active to maintain my weight loss because I knew that I just couldn't just stop. I couldn't stop there. That's when I heard about powerlifting. I didn't even know what it was. I literally asked like, "What is powerlifting?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's a little bit like weightlifting, but you have to squat, bench, and deadlift." I thought it sounds so lazy to me. That was like the most laziest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, wait,
I,
that's all you need to do?
it's, it's true though. I mean, it's 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 lazy in the fact that when you go to the gym, your heart rate is not going up, whatever. However, some training sessions last forever, and it's
Oh,
not easy getting under that
oh.
bar, obviously, right? So
Yeah, I take back what I thought then, but that was like just me hearing about it. It was it was very accessible. That's one thing I know that I remembered. And because I had a vacation plan for my birthday, so before I traveled, I went to the gym. It was a basic fit. We have like a commercial gym that is in Belgium, France, and Spain, I think. And so I went to Basic Fit to like try test I never squatted before. I never bench. I avoided bench. I mean, I never really wanted anything that because I had a very broad shoulders, and it was not a beauty standard from where I come from. So for me, it was like something that I wasn't proud of. I didn't like it. So I knew that if I'm lifting something with the chest, it's gonna make them grow bigger. So I was like,
yeah,
no, I don't want that. And so I went to the gym that day and I squatted. I started trying one reps every load with every load that I had on the bar, and I ended up at 120 kilos. That was my first ever time squatting. And so I went to the bench press where I did 50 kilos, and then deadlift. I was running out of time because I had to go to work. So I was at deadlift and I just picked up 140 kilos and stood up. I was like, I literally asked, "Is this how I'm supposed to do it?" And the guy's like, "Yeah."
I mean,
And then he
for
told me
that to
chest out.
be
So I was like,
for that to be your baseline,
"Yeah,
that's you with no training, getting out of bed, and this is
yeah,
just what you are when you're walking around. Some people train forever to get these kind of numbers.
yeah." But it's I remember then before I went on vacation, I sent out emails to possible coaches. Because I didn't know anything, so I didn't want to try to start looking things up online. So when I came back on vacation, I got to meet up with a coach and Kathleen Company. And then we started our beginning of the year. And at 2020, that's when I started powerlifting. And I remember her just being amazed when I showed her the video of what I did, trying to test how strong I was. And she started talking about the Belgium record, how it wasn't that far off. He started talking about world European records and all the stuff. She was like, "You're so talented." That's the first time somebody saw me being strong, said I was talent because I've always seen that like a little bit of a weird thing. And we did like a whole full body measurement because she's also dietitianist and all the stuff. And that's when she told me that I had more muscle mass than an average male.
Really?
Yeah. So,
You know,
without, no, never trained him before. But the thing is, Ryan, people tend to forget the fact that I have been through a lot in life. I didn't grow up like in a rich family. I grew up in like one of the poorest side of Cameroon, like those villages where you see kids run around with no slippers and torn clothes. That was my life. That is how I grew up. And I pretty much had to fight for everything that I ate. So I had to work for what I eat. It's like you don't eat, you don't work, you don't eat. That is how I grew up. So being put in that world at a very young age and having to do all those physical work growing up, like would develop my body in a certain way. So despite never been in the gym before, I think I did a lot of gymming growing up in the wild.
you know,
So
I remember Eric Helms was on the podcast and they did a study and found at his peak, Ray Williams was the most muscular man in the world. And it makes sense that you just baseline without tons of weightlifting already had more muscle mass than
yeah,
men walking around. And men
yeah,
have like 17 times the testosterone, like the advantage you
yeah,
have with testosterone. And you still, without training, without just had more muscle mass. I mean,
yeah.
you're here for a reason, right? You got a gift.
I do. I remember coming back and because when I came back from her, that was like she gave me so much confidence, and she was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna absolutely just out of a sudden grow like a man and look like a man. It takes time to grow muscles and for them to show and all this stuff." So I went back home and I went in 100% into powerlifting because of the confidence that she'd given me. She believed that I could do something with my strength. And she said she's never seen anyone start off powerlifting with that baseline. And I was like, oh, I left that day. I was like, okay, I think this is something that I can do. So I went in 100%. And I remember looking back in 2023 and I was like, that's a very, powerlifting is the reason why I look back at my life, not in a negative way anymore. I tend to now appreciate the things that I went through because I feel like life was preparing me for these moments. If I didn't go through all of that, if I had grown up like any other person, I wouldn't be at this level that I am in powerlifting. So powerlifting is that sport that kind of like really get me that confidence to like look back at my life and smile, not cry. So
Like when you were growing up in Cameroon, so I didn't know you didn't grow up in Belgium. It was in
no,
a
no, I
whole
grew up in
different world.
Cameroon. It is like I tell everyone I grew up in a wild. So it's like it's like they put you in a jungle in the middle of the jungle and you have to survive. So
Oh
it's
my
if I
gosh.
have to tell you that if I have to say that other story, you're gonna need like a day for it. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I've been through a whole lot of shit. So
Well, first off, we gotta. I mean, I know we're getting close to 2 hours. We have to have
yeah,
this conversation at some point.
yeah, I
Maybe
guess I
after
think
Sheffield
so.
or whatever. I mean, there's. It sounds like you got an amazing backstory.
Yeah, yeah. I like because my father left. My father left when I was 3 years old. My mom was like 21. My mom is from the time where they didn't believe in female education, so she was given out for marriage at the age of 15. So so she had us very young on, but then my father just went for work and never came back home one day, and we had like no roof. We couldn't. She couldn't afford a house for us to live in. We were in the street. My grandmother had to come from the village and took me because then I was born in the city, but because of that circumstances, I had to move to the village. I was like 3 to 4 years old. My grandmother took me to the village, and that is where I grew up.
You had no roof.
Yeah,
You lived in a. There was no roof, so you lived outside.
yeah. My mom, yeah. When my father left, we had no house. My mom couldn't afford nothing. She was 21 with 3 kids, and she had just recently had my younger brother.
Holy smokes, Sonita. So you're
Yeah,
essentially homeless with no father.
yeah. That's a
Holy
good way to put it.
smokes. How did you survive this?
We had to because my grandmother came from the village to take my elder sister because my elder sister was a little bit grown enough to help her in the village. But she always tell me like when the moment I saw her and I clinged on her dress and I didn't let go. So and I've always been a competitive person. Apparently that was also me being competitive. So she said she said I when she gave me to my mom, I started crying. She had to take me with her to the village. And my sister and my younger brother had to be spread out to other family members. So we didn't grow up together either. And that was like one of the I barely ever seen my mom. So my grandmother was like literally my life growing up. We were there for each other. She had to take care of me, and I had to take care of her. So that
You had
was
to take
so
care of
when
her.
yeah, when she passed, I think I was like, that was when I fell like into depression, and I became suicidal and all that stuff. So it was like it was like my whole life was taken away from me. You know, she was the reason for me. She was in a way my goal in life, because my goal in life was to become someone and take care of her, you know. So when she died, it was like that. Only that single goal that I had to live for was taken away. And they always say, someone, if you're living, if you live without a goal, you're just like a corpse, you know, like a dead person. You don't have a purpose. So when she died for me, my purpose was taken. So I was like, I went through a hard time. Yeah.
How far back was this?
2000, she died in 2015.
Okay. So this is before before you found
Yeah,
powerlifting.
it's before found powerlifting. Yeah.
And to a large extent, has powerlifting become one of your goals and passions and reason to get up and keep going?
Yeah. I mean, with powerlifting, because I feel like I said, each time I do a competition, I do a heavy training, even with a heavy training, I'm always talking to my grandmother. And it's like a way of us to connect again through strength. So that is like, I mean, like I said, I feel like this is what I've been prepared for my whole life. It was for this sports. And yeah, to just bring light into some certain stuff. So,
What do you
yeah.
think your grandma would be thinking now? She's watching and seeing all this.
I was her favorite grandchild. I know she would look down on me and smile. I know she would like, it was hard. You know, the hardest part, I think, for me when she died was the fact that I wasn't there. You know, I was already in Belgium back then. And I knew that she went through a lot of pain before she passed. And that is a part of me that I don't think has been able to heal or, or like let go. I know that now she feels no pain anymore and she's in a better place, but it's still hard for me to know that her last moments on earth were like painful and without me being there for her. But I know that I had had dreams where she comes to me and tell me to let go, and I know that I should know that she's always with me, and those always feels very real to me. That's the only way that I've been able to actually heal through it all. Because when I was going to therapy, it wasn't doing much for me, and the only time that I kind of like really turned my life around was when I had a dream that she came to me and she was defending me in something, and then she told me like she was always gonna be with me, and that I should let go of the pain and the hurt. And yeah, and when I since then I woke up, I was like, yeah, I told myself this is not how she's not gonna want me to live like this. You know, she want me to live on and carry her name and carry her memories with me. You know, so that's like one of the reasons why I just keep going. So yeah.
And are you and your mom close?
We got to get close, but when I just moved to Belgium, there were a lot of ups and downs. I was sexually harassed by my stepfather, the man she was married to then. It was like I escaped one hell, so I traded one hell with another.
And how did you get to
So
Belgium?
my mom was in Belgium. My mom had traveled when I was in primary seven, my 7th year in primary school. Before then, I never almost see her because I was like in a very royal area, and she was in the city trying to make a life for herself and get us. I mean, in her way, get us in a better place. And because I know that when my grandmother came to the village to take me with her, she left her like 18,000 francs CFA, which is about 30 euros, and that is what my mom took to start her own life with. So and she didn't have nothing. I cannot really hold a grudge against her about the fact that I was abandoned or whatever. I just know that she also didn't have a means to. She was also trying to find a means to live. I mean that this is the mature part of me talking, of course.
Mm,
That's not how I was thinking when I was growing up. I felt
right.
completely abandoned, no father, no mother. So So
Mm.
and the only time my mom always traveled to the village where I lived was when somebody in the family had passed and she was coming to show her respect, because they always come back to the village to bury most people. Uh, so that's the only time that I'll see her. I might go years without seeing her. I might go never like
Really?
yeah.
Years.
If, yeah. If not the fact that my grandmother always told me, I would have thought that she was my mom. My grandmother was my mother. So and So that was just my life. So it's my father also never, I mean, I heard he died, literally. And that's after years has gone by. I heard he died, and I was like, I didn't see his corpse, I didn't see nothing. So for me, it's like he never existed, apart from the fact that I am a proof that he existed. But
This,
it's
this is a crazy story that you grew up
yeah.
essentially orphaned from your mother and father,
Mhm.
house, no roof. You never had a roof over your head. And now you're the strongest woman in the world. How are some of these people, like your mother, seeing you now?
My mom
Knowing,
was,
and she,
yeah,
sorry, go
sorry, yeah,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that she never came to visit you, and years would go by, and you're her daughter. And I understand life was difficult. I'm sure she had a million things going on, but still.
Yeah,
And now that you're the strongest woman in the world, and like people all over the world look at you like an inspiration. And the fact, the connection you had with your grandmother, whom
hmm,
essentially was your mother, but it would have been, I could see where it could be different because when you live through what you live through and your father and mother abandon you and she steps up, I could see how you'd be like, you were there when nobody else was there. When
yeah,
everyone else was walking out, you walked in and
hmm,
you held me down when I needed it the most.
yeah,
And the connection is going to be far greater, and the it'll feel more like a need. You know, when you
yeah,
grow up without even a roof over your head, you don't have much, and
yeah,
this person's there for you. So I could see where when this person passes, it's world changing.
yeah, yeah. Just it's my the thing is I've grown. My mom, I got to know my mom. You know, when I came to Belgium, and I got to love her for the sacrifice that she has also made. And because I know it has not, because the memories of my father was abusive. She was there were nights where he would beat her up, chase her out of the house with a knife. She's gonna go sleep with her elder brother, but the next morning she's still gonna come back. I think the reason the psychiatrist told me that the reason why I remember that is because it's a bit of a trauma memory, so it's a bit stuck with me because that's the only image I have of my father. And it's the thing is the fact that she always came back for us, no matter how hard he had made it for her. So a part of me that always like wish that I had a father always knew that if he was there, what would my mom would be what would she have been going through? You know,
Mm,
I mean, if he was there for us, if he had stayed, it would have been good for us, but would it have been good for my mother?
mm,
So it's always like a bit of a try to find a balance in it all. And I know that she did all the things that she did, because if she didn't do the sacrifice that she did, I wouldn't be here either. I wouldn't have found powerlifting. So her letting us go so she can be able to find a way is the reason why I am here today. Is the reason why I can also I'm making a life for myself. She's like super super proud of me, but it took us time to get to a point where, because it's like, okay, I was when I moved from Cameroon, I came to Belgium. I thought my life was gonna finally be better. The nightmares there, the things there, because I have been raped a couple of times.
in
It's
Cameroon,
in Cameroon, yeah. So like I grew up in a wow, like I literally say it's like it's survival of the fittest. If you know, yeah, you have to survive
it's like
somehow.
strangers. This is strangers that had
One
sexually.
one was someone that from a family friend. The other one was strangers. So it's like I said, if I have to dig deep into this thing, we're gonna need a lot of time to talk about it. But but when I came to Cameroon, I thought like that was a time for me to flip the page, start on a new slate. But my mom was married to a Ghanaian, to a man from Ghana then, and it didn't take up to 5 months for him to start sexually harassing me in the house. And I didn't know where to turn to. My grandmother was the only one that I had before. My mom was somewhat to an extent a stranger to me because I had just came. That was my first time coming to live with her. And then there's a man in the house, which I thought was going to be a father figure to me. Finally, I thought finally I'm going to have a house, a home where I have a mother and I have a father.
Mm.
and then it didn't last that long. So he started talking about stupid stuff, how he has done a lot for my family. Now I have to repay him somehow, and then he started sexually harassing me and all that stuff. So, but because I didn't have that connection to my mom to talk to her, I went to my pastor in the church because I was already going to church here in my mom's church. And then he gave me an advice not to tell my mom. So he's like, yeah, you shouldn't tell your mom. Like, if the marriage has to get bad, it has to be, my mom decision and all the stuff. So I started resenting my stepfather. You know, when he
Of
comes
course.
home, I go to my room. I didn't want to be in the same space with him. My mom saw that as me being a bad child. So, and then she also started being hard on me and stuff. So like I said, I just traded one hell to another.
Did
That
you
was like what it was.
did you end up telling your mom?
I did. I did. After like I think 2 years, because that was when my grandmother died. But I became suicider. I was like, yeah, there was nothing, I didn't have much. So that was when I like sorry, give me a minute.
No, no, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's when I came to talk to my mom about it, and I told her what had happened and why I was being a bit resentful of my stepfather. And yeah, she was super hurt. It's not because of I kept it from her. She was hurt that she didn't see it. You know, she was angry at herself. I mean, I remember her crying her eyes out, and she had a problem with my pastor for telling her me not to tell her, and she almost fell out of the church. There was a lot went on. That was like how I started. And then I didn't talk to her how I grew up without her, and the things that I went through without being protected by a mother or by a father. And yeah, that's the things that we did. That's how we started mending our relation. I started mending my relationship with my mother.
I mean,
So
I can
yeah,
only you probably have already thought about a lot of this. But yeah, if you don't have a mother or father to protect you, that's what happens. This is like all
yeah,
these things that you went through. And for her to find out after the fact, like even what happened in Cameroon,
yeah,
where it's like, Mom, you and dad weren't around.
yeah,
You know what happened to me? Like I can only imagine when she finally hears this. And then
yeah,
we came to Belgium, that'd be the toughest.
yeah,
Would
yeah,
be yeah, that would be very difficult. And for I don't know. That
yeah.
I
I
can
just
only
know that. I
imagine.
mean, it was really hard because I had grown, but for some reason, I felt like she still thought I was like the baby she left behind. She thought I was like the 3-year old my grandmother took to the village. So she sorry, sorry. So she
If
was
only
like really, it was hard. It was hard. I would say it was very hard, but I love my mom to death at the moment. But it was hard.
and even for yourself to like have to compartmentalize this in your mind's eye and like not be resentful and angry
Yeah,
and to because you could easily be a different person right now.
yeah,
Like anyone who meets you says that you're like a nice person, a happy person, like you're,
yeah.
but you could have been someone entirely different with everything that's got
Completely
like
different. Yeah,
entirely different. And
yeah,
some people walk through life with like a victim mentality and it changes them. And you are like strong, inspirational, and you don't walk around like this.
yeah,
Like it's incredible that you are who you are given how you've come up. It's
yeah.
incredible.
That's why I always say it's like I remember when I told a psychiatrist my problem, the reason why I was getting therapy. I remember that woman looking at me and asking me how am I still alive. Like when I told her everything, she just couldn't understand. Like how am I still holding on? How am I still in one piece? And I'm telling her it's just because I am the kind of person I choose to see the positive of everything that I go through. I choose to see a positive side from it. I mean, I believe God gives his hardest battles to his strongest shoulders, and I'm one of those. And I always the kind of person where I know that I went through so much and I still came out whole. I went through all the rapes. I didn't get pregnant. I didn't had a child from somebody that from rape. I people have that constant reminder of what I went through. I didn't get a disease that I mean that I couldn't recover from it. You know, I am super super healthy, and you know those are just scars. And I one thing that I've never wanted in life, I know from being small, growing up, is I never want to be seen as a victim, because I want to be seen as as a victor, like victorious, not as a victim. That's one thing that I completely hate. And one of the reasons why it took me so long to actually talk about what I've been through is simply because I didn't want people feeling sorry for me. Because I'm like, no, I mean, I won. You know, I mean, people did what they did to me, hoping they were gonna break me, but I am still here because I won. That is how I choose to see life. And I always know that where there is, you know, life, there's always hope. So, and that is how I've always lived my life. And I always I always also choose to say people are going through worse than I am, even though that's not always the case. But
I'm I
that's what I
mean,
always say.
I'm look, I'm sure, but your life sounds like that's a look, your life is a triumph, not a tragedy.
Yeah,
And it is what you view it as.
yeah,
Your perspective is your reality.
yeah,
And no matter how tough it gets, it's all you have. You
yeah,
can't rewrite it. It is what it is. So the fact that you
yeah,
view it as a triumph, not a tragedy, but your life story is absolutely, you could definitely write a book on this. You could do a documentary on this. It's absolutely, this is, I've never heard anything like this before.
yeah. I remembered, like, right, I told my uncle, I bought a phone for my uncle that lives in the village where I grew up. I told him to please go and make a video of the house just for the memories of my grandmother, the house of my grandmother, my grandmother's grave, because I haven't seen it for so long. And I just told him, like, please, can you just make a video and send it to me? That was before the World Championships. I needed a memory. I needed to like I needed to revisit that part of my life again. So it was just I don't know, but it was like that's what I needed then. And he made the videos. I'm gonna send you a video of the house I grew up in. I'm gonna say
100%.
after the chat, I'll send you the video.
100%. Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
is this what life is like in Cameroon? Is this like this is not abnormal?
I don't know. We have very poor sides of Cameroon, and we have side that people are living okay. I was just unfortunate that I'm from the poor side. You know, I didn't grew up in a normal, but like when I tell people I cannot swim, I cannot ride a bike, they're like, how? I'm like, yeah, who could have bought a bike for me when I was a child?
Yeah.
Like, where would I go and swim when I was a child? You know, we don't have rivers to go swim or swimming pools to go swim at. We just have hills and valleys and farms to work. I mean, I came home every day with blisters on my hands because I've been walking the field the whole day. Don't have machines to do those things for you. You do them yourself. You need to light firewood. You need to light a fire to cook, to keep yourself warm. So we have to fetch firewood after the farms. So that is my life. So I just I mean, having knowing how to bike or knowing how to swim was like not even in my checklist.
Just trying to survive. When you were when you got raped, did your grandmother find out? Did you tell
You
your
know,
grandmother?
that's something I never told anyone. The first time it happened, it was I would think I was like what 11 years, 12 years old.
Oh
I
my
never
God.
told anyone. I just couldn't. I mean, I put up a fight. That's all I remembered, and I put up a big fight. I was a
Jesus.
fierce person growing up. I wasn't like, oh, where's the war?
I mean, just
But
listening that 11-year-old was fighting a grown man like that is absolutely fucking horrific.
yeah, it was a full grown man, fully grown man. And the thing that kills me most that night is the fact that it was beside a roadside and people pass by and see it and clap for the guy.
What?
Yeah. What I think about it, that's the thing that breaks my heart the most. The fact that you see a child fighting for a life and then you just pass by
How the
and say this one,
fuck?
and I get comment like this one is being very stubborn. And it's just that's yeah, that's what
How was
that's the
this
thing that
like
breaks my heart all the
how is
time.
that even that's fucking insane.
I had bruises that day because he had pulled me on the road, on the gravels, like I was like bruised on my elbows, on my knees. I just told my grandmother that I felt. But yeah,
Jesus.
my clothes were torn. But that's like I don't know. I mean, I might be talking about it right now, and it's I have no idea. It's just circumstances in which I grew up. It's just that I don't know. Yeah.
I can't even I can't even mentally digest that.
Yeah.
How someone could like people could walk be cheering like this is that's insane.
Yeah, they said I was being stubborn. Oh God. Yeah.
It, I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even and and you didn't even tell your grandmother. Why do you think you didn't tell
No.
your grandmother?
I mean, I was living in a world where it was just me and her. What is she gonna do? I mean, if somebody tell me don't tell anyone I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna hurt your grandmother, it's like how will I get the courage to tell her something like that? It was just
Yeah.
something that I couldn't tell her. And yeah, I didn't the thing is it wasn't even like my uncle. I had an uncle that was living beside us when I was growing up as a child, but he was just as mean to me as everyone else because I have scars that man left on my back from whooping me up. So if something like that happens to me, I feel like he's gonna be like it was my fault. So I was gonna be beaten up by him or something, and I just couldn't open up to anyone about stuff like that. And like I said, the only time I open up about everything that I went through was my grandmother died because I didn't see the positive side of living anymore. So that was like the only reason why I was able to open up about it. And yeah, because no matter what I went through, no matter what life throws at me growing up, all I knew was the fact that I wanted to become somebody and take care of my grandmother. That was my one and only goal growing up. So I would do whatever I have to do. I will survive whatever I have to survive. I would just keep quiet on whatever happens. And just because I believe in my heart that one day I was gonna leave that village. That's what I knew, and I was gonna live it with my grandmother.
I mean, you became the strongest woman in the world. That kid, 11-year-old, had no idea she was going to end up being where she was going to
Yeah,
end up being.
yeah, yeah. That's it's been a roller coaster of life. That's why I always look at people. I always tell the girls in my gym, like, don't look at my journey. Don't look at me being strong and envy that it didn't happen overnight. Life has built me already for this, and trust me, you wouldn't want to trade your life for mine. Nobody will want to. No one will want to. And so don't look at me and envy. And because I'm strong, or because you think that I've been doing powerlifting only for 4 years. I have been doing this my whole life because being strong physically and mentally is the only thing I have known growing up.
Mm.
So I have been doing this my whole life. It's taken me my whole life to get to this point. It didn't happen overnight.
I mean, when you think about, we're talking about the pressures of the world championships or Sheffield in a battle with Brittany or a battle with Bonica, and you must be
Yeah.
thinking, this is light
That's
work.
why like now you
This is
understand why I
child's
told you
play.
like I don't move under pressure because this is nothing to me. And
Yeah.
but I'm never gonna be the one to step out of line and look for anyone's trouble. But the thing is the fact that I feel like I was born ready to handle stuff. So if you bring I always just handle everything that life throws at me. If you bring it to me, I handle it. So that is like how I am. So that's why I mentioned like yeah, I don't really crumble under pressure. That's because I have survived the worst things that can possibly happen to a girl, to a child growing up. And nothing. I've said like nothing, literally nothing in this world at this moment can break me, apart from me.
I mean, when people call you the strongest woman in the world, it's like you think I'm strong. You got no idea. You got no idea what real strength is.
I might be
That's
just strong
crazy.
mentally more than I am physically. Yeah.
Is your mom still with that guy?
No, no. When I told her it was completely done. And they
Okay,
always say
good.
Karma is a bitch. He got locked up for trying to for I think he the when I told my mom actually it was when he had traveled. And luckily I didn't go with him because it was instead I come with him on a vacation that he was going to Holland. And I wouldn't dare because I already know what had happened, of course. And the next thing we got it was he got locked up in Spain because he was traveling. He was with cocaine, and I think it was cocaine, yeah. So and then that was when I like kind of like got the courage to tell my mom because I knew he was gonna be away for a long time. And
Mm.
I hate the fact that my mom was constantly sending him money because my mom was his wife, so she was responsible in like paying the bills that he was making, all the things that he has done. So I told my mom. My mom was like, "Yeah, okay, fuck this shit."
Yeah, fuck that shit is right. Fuck that guy. Hopefully, when he gets out, Christoph's waiting for him. Fuck that guy. I mean, Jesus. Holy smokes, Anita.
Yeah,
Talk about a
yeah,
freaking a story.
yeah. I've always hoped that one day I can tell my story, and inspire and just maybe save one person, And I feel like my job here on earth is like done, fulfilled. I'm doing what I was meant to do, inspire people, and yeah, that's uh, that's what
I
I
mean,
hope to achieve.
there's no way that your story can impact people. Look, here's the one thing, like when it comes to humans across this world in general, one thing we got is each other and we inspire each other.
Yeah,
When you're going through something, somebody else out there has gone through it. And you
yeah,
hear stories like this and you draw strength from it.
yeah.
Your story, I guarantee this podcast goes worldwide. Powerlifters all over the freaking world, from
Hmm.
Europe to South America to Asia
Yeah,
to wherever, right? Africa. And people are going to listen to this. Somebody who needs to hear this is going to hear this. I've
yeah.
had people, one of the things when I'm at these international events and people come up to me and say, I've had people say, like, you might have saved my life. I was
Hmm.
this close. I was on the verge, talking
Yeah,
like you were talking about where you were at previously in your life. Someone came on, had the courage to tell their story, and that was what I heard when I needed to hear it.
yeah,
I heard what I
yeah,
needed to.
yeah.
We draw strength from this. And now you being in the position where you're in, I mean, I don't even know how you made it this far. It's just it's like I
Don't
had
be my
no idea.
psychiatrist.
I've and it shows you like I've met you over the years,
Yeah,
from like silent worker meets to world championships to whatever, right? I'll meet you, but I had no idea your story, and it just goes to show we don't know each other's story.
yeah, yeah.
People you meet, handle them with as much grace as you can, because you have no idea what they've been through.
What you're going
You
through.
have no idea.
100%. 100%. And I mean, if you don't go through stuff like that, I mean, I always feel like when you go through things like that, things like this, that's where you start. It's like you said, it can either destroy you or you can build. It can break you or it can build you. I prefer to let my story build me. And trust me, I wouldn't change what I've been through for nothing because I always say if you take away what I've been through, you take away who I am. You know, I develop into who I am today based on what I've been through in life. That's like my history. And if you take away my history, this me don't exist. So it's not something that I wish anyone to go through, but there are memories in there when I talk about it, I laugh, when I'm talking about how my grandmother and I used to go to far off distance farm, or like the first time I followed my grandmother to the farm, it's like I was still too small, so she wouldn't take me with her. So I just sneak up behind her and I just followed her and I got lost. And and from that day on, she took me to every farm she went to. But I still like, I smile. Like, there's some moments in there when I talk about them, I'm like happy. And the way I went to school, like, this is another part that I'm gonna say, like, when you finish primary school in Cameroon, where I grew up, we had in my village. It was a very big village, but we had one government school, one government secondary school. So when I finished primary school, I had to go to we have two exams to write. It's called first entrance and common entrance. But my mom had sent money to register me for that. My uncle that was living beside us, like, I spent the money on something and only registered me for one. And the one that he registered me for, I couldn't use it to enter the government school. So, so that same year where I finished primary school, there was a private school that had opened, like, in a very far distance, closer neighbor to us, and it was like, what, 2 hours every day. I had to walk to school because of course I don't have transport, on the rain, on the sun, with mud, with dust. That's how I went to school.
God,
And I was late every day, and I get punished every day.
Yeah, well, I guess. Frig. Frig. Well, I mean, yeah, this is all I can't believe the difference in
Yeah.
your previous life to this one as well. If nothing else, it also was a story about wherever you're at, and you're like, is life going to get better? Is it going to get easier? Am I ever going to get past this? If you're in
Yeah.
hell, you know the expression, if you're in hell, keep going, keep going. And you made it on the other side. Now, look,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you got a home with a roof.
Yeah.
You got you're married, right? You and
Oh, we're
Christoph
engaged. We're engaged. We
engaged.
did
Okay.
a traditional engagement, but it's not married. But we're holding up things. The things that I want us to do first before we ever head to the marriage part. So
Okay. Well, fair
first,
enough.
just like personal life goals. So
Fair enough. But nevertheless, you went from where you went from to being in a relationship with a roof over your head, a loving relationship where you have somebody,
mhm.
you're
Yeah.
touring the world with thousands of people showing up to watch you compete,
Yeah.
thousands of people watching online, all of
Hmm.
these opportunities. You everything you're at right now is completely different than what you used to be, your old life.
Yeah.
And for other
Hmm.
people living who are hearing this, still living that hell, it is inspirational. Like it won't always be like this.
Yeah.
You hang in there and you can turn the corner. And
Yeah.
it's your life is entirely different than it used to be.
Yeah. I know that I remember, like I said I went to therapy because at a certain point I had to go for school. They said I was going twice a week because it was that bad. I could literally could just sit in a class and just want to jump out of the window just because I was like, I walk in front of a car without even knowing because I was like just absent minded, like really completely lost. And I went to therapy. It wasn't really doing much for me because a part of me knew that I'm like, if you're gonna be taught how to in school and how to understand how I feel, I just don't think that you can really comprehend how I feel because therapy it's not doing anything for me, 100% not. And until I had a dream that I had about my grandmother that completely changed my stuff, and for me it was just like my demons are mine to slay, you know. I cannot go sit on a chair and just tell somebody my what I've been through, and they tell me like this is. I mean, whatever or they understand. I'm like, no, you don't actually. I mean, you have to walk a mile in my shoes to know where it pinches or where it aches. But in generally, I feel like I tell a friend that has been going to therapy for like from when she was like what 5 years old. I'm like, I don't want to discredit what you've been through, but I say if you've been going to therapy from that time until now you're 20, what, 26, 27, and you're still going to therapy, is it really working for you? Because is it supposed to be a lifetime thing? Because for me, I just didn't think that it was helping me. And I feel like this life, I always tell her, like, this life is mine to live. That's what I've come to realize that this life is mine to live. No one has the power to take that away from me except me. So my demons are mine to slay. No one is going to slay that for me. So I try my best to be able to be positive in life. That's the thing. A positive mindset will get you so far. I mean, it's like it doesn't benefit no one to be negative about all the stuff or like feel sorry for yourself or try to play the pity party because for me, I feel like if I keep playing the victim, I'm never going to be out of it. I'm
Mm.
always gonna stay a victim. Always gonna want people to like feel sorry for me. But that is not who I am. You know, I want to be able to move past something that has happened to me, learn from it, and grow from it. And that is that is why I am this positive person. And like you will never see me. I mean, if you see me out there, I have like the biggest smile on my face when I talk to people, and somebody will never even think that a fly has ever even pinched me or something. That's just because I prefer to inspire people. I mean, motivate them to move forward than actually be like, yeah, dwell in the past. If you dwell in the past, you're gonna stay in the past.
I mean, that's exactly it. You have no choice. You have
Yeah,
one life. You can't redo
yeah.
it. You
There's no
have to
do over.
change. There's no do-overs. And legitimately, your perspective is your reality. If you
Yeah,
view things and you stay stuck in certain mindsets, it's
yeah,
all you got. It has to change with you. That's
yeah,
it. You have
yeah,
no other choice. You could spend the rest of your life angry, sad, whatever, or you could
yeah.
turn the corner. You
I think the
have to.
only one thing that life took away from me was empathy.
Really? You
Yeah.
don't in what way? What do you mean?
I mean, in situations where people can be like this or that, or that, I seem not to have empathy to, I don't know if it's sympathy, I think it's empathy, but the, I don't feel like growing up, there was never space for it for me. There was never space for that in my life. And, or being allowed to feel sorry for myself or crying too long. I cry short about my chest, I move on. So it makes it hard for me to, like, for example, if Christoph is having a bad day at work and we talked about it or something bad has happened to him, and I don't weigh it like it being that bad, you know.
Yeah, okay. So I think you mean, well, empathy and sympathy are very similar. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes to feel how they feel.
Mhm.
Sympathy is feeling sorry because they feel that way.
Sympathy.
It's probably both. It's
And I
probably a
don't
little
have.
bit of both, where it's like, listen, my friend, it's probably sympathy actually. It's probably like, look,
Yeah.
I've had the day you just described, whatever. It's not that bad. Relax. I understand what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense given everything you've been through.
Yeah.
It, talk about perspective in life. It'd be like, look, at this is nothing.
Yeah.
This is your problems. I would die if your problems were the worst
I
problems
would
I had to deal with.
like. I'm like, if that was what happened to me, I would be laughing my ass out.
If that's the worst, you're laughing. I listen, I know exactly what you mean. We all to an extent. I mean, if things are stressful and I'll
Yeah.
talk to a friend, they're like, how are things going with you? And like, how's work? And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like work is boring. It's uninspiring. I don't know. I'm going through something. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Well, hang on. Sorry. Your work is boring and that's the worst you got. You're laughing, my man. That's it. You're bored. You could do anything in your own
Yeah.
free time. Work
Yeah.
is boring. Well,
Yeah.
then you're good. You're all good.
Yeah.
You're all set, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I know
why
what you
I
mean.
always feel like sometimes I have to pull myself a little bit back and be like, see, this is not you, this is somebody else. Their level of stuff is different from yours. What they experience is different from yours. So, and yeah, but the biggest thing that I was like, I had like this big cultural shock when I moved to Belgium. It was just so much different, and I
Yeah.
just couldn't understand. It's like I come to a classroom where we're like with 8 people, and they're so loud and so noisy, and I just couldn't understand how they do that. I feel like they were being disrespectful to the teachers. You cannot get away with something like that from where I grew up. You're punished severely. Even not punished in school, you're going to be punished at home for disrespecting your teacher. And then I'm coming out here. It was like just so much difference, but it took me. I still don't understand it, but I'm gradually accepting everything else. It's my reality now. So
I mean, I could only where you came from
yeah.
to where you ended up in Belgium. It's night and day different. The culture shock. How old were you when you went to Belgium?
I was 16.
Your entire childhood was different, and those are your
Yeah.
formative years.
Yeah.
By the time you're 16, you're right on the verge of being an adult at like
I
18
go,
or
yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you're like getting close. Your formative years are
Yeah.
behind you. So then when you enter into an entirely different world at 16, oh my gosh, that's high school.
Yeah.
You entered in high school. That's crazy.
Yeah. It was really so much different. But the thing is, it's like I had like a short life in Cameroon as well. But then if you look at it all, I feel like it's like I live like a whole lifetime with all the things that happened to me from when I moved from when I moved from the city to the village with my grandmother. It felt like a whole lifetime on its own. But it was just maybe I was just a teenager. I was just a child. I had no
Well, I
sp-
mean,
I didn't even have time to be a child. That's the funny part. I didn't have time to be a toddler. I didn't have time to be a child. It were true. I mean, I feel like I was thrown into life without no manual, like how to do what. Just like in a while, toast to like I said in the middle of the jungle, they put me there and they didn't give me a manual or anything. So
figure it out. And nobody, no, yeah, like you didn't have someone helping you out, looking over you, like
no,
you were completely vulnerable to your surroundings.
no, oh yeah, yeah.
It's
So
remarkable you are where you are right now, and you carry yourself the way you carry yourself, and
I
you've
try.
done everything you've done. It's crazy to think
I
you've
did
you
try my
made it this
best.
far. What a
I have.
remarkable story.
Thank you.
You know, you were saying like, look, there's too much to get. We could probably. We could go back and walk through this. You can make an audio book on this.
Yeah.
Um, but what a freaking have you thought about like putting all this down, whether a book or something like that?
I just don't know where to start. When I think about it, or and don't get me wrong, there were times in my life where I was angry. You know, I was angry. I was like, why is it me? Why is it that I cannot? I mean, I wasn't born in a different family or in a better family or in a better conditions. Why did it have to be me? And I had like so much anger in me. The fact that I was like, why would my father have to leave? If he didn't leave, I would have been better protected. I mean, I wouldn't be getting beaten up by another. I had nobody to run to if I was in a fight or somebody had beaten me up in the streets. There was no one to go to. So I had learned to fight my own battles from a very young age. I was good in defending myself, but it still always come down to the fact that why couldn't I just be a child? But I had like so much anger and so much resentment for my father and my mother. But I tend to like realize that those things were just me putting myself in a bondage. The anger was building up inside of me. I mean, what was it? What was it? What was I gonna profit from it? Absolutely nothing. I was caging myself with this anger and all this stuff, but I had to let go. And that's the only thing that I let go, and I focused on my grandmother and I. So that was like it all for me. It wasn't just like it never bothered me that all of this thing happened to me. It did bother me. It did. I did think about it, and I did ask myself, why was it me? But again, being a Christian and being a believer, and I grew up. My grandmother was not a Christian. There was a time in my life where I had to sneak to go to church.
Hmm,
While still being young,
wow.
that's like all of these things happening. I was like, I had to sneak and go to church because if you look at my body, I have a lot of scars, medical scars from traditional medicines and traditional stuff and voodoo or juju, whatever you call it. I have a lot of scars from those. Where if I'm sick, I don't have money to afford a doctor. I cannot go to the hospital, so they use traditional medicines. They use a blade, cut your skin open, fill in like some sort of black medicines in your skin. That is how I grew up.
Did it work?
I am healthy as a horse at the moment, so I think it did.
I think you're the strongest woman in the world. God knows. Must have, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't that bad. You know?
Yeah, that's like unfortunately I could show you some scars like if you look a
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
but majority of it was my chest. If you look at my chest here, like a line on the back of my neck, like a full long line there, because every time they have to cut 3 times on every spot. So here they cut like 3 times. This one is like very clear. I don't know if you can
Yeah, yeah,
see it,
yeah.
but it's like here. It has to like cut 3 times on every spot. So every time it's like cutting 3 times on your joints, all of your joints, like mostly wrist, elbows, shoulders, knees, and neck and chest. So it's
Mm. It's when you talk about how you learn to be like a good fighter physically, mentally, because you
yeah,
you said, "What am I going to do? Am I going to run home and get somebody? I have nowhere to
yeah,
run."
yeah. If
You'd
I
be
run to my
surprised.
uncle, he loves me
You'd be surprised how strong you are and how good of a fighter you are when you have no choice but to.
to fight. That's the
There's no
thing.
way you can go. Where are you going to run?
No, no. I mean, you have you. Literally, you have you at that moment to defend. So I was very good in defending myself. I'm proud of that. So
Oh,
that's one of the reasons why when I wanted to do a sport to stay healthy, and I wanted to do no, I got a suggestion to do boxing. Of course, I'm like I don't like the boxing here because there's too much rules. I want to be put in a cage where there are no rules. The other person pass out, and then the fight is over. That's literally my point. I didn't want a case where I hit somebody and they'd be like red card or whatever. I just find there's too much rules limiting. Like if you want me to fight, put me in a cage with somebody. That's
and
my
then you
mentality.
went to that. That's great. Look at. I'm glad you found powerlifting. Because I mean, it's wild that you did find powerlifting and you became who you became. And
Yeah.
now you're as strong as you are in doing like
Yeah.
these incredible feats. Like if you squat 700 pounds, that's insane. That's
Yeah.
absolutely insane. It's so much more than we ever thought was possible.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Um,
Thinking about it, this stuff is crazy. But I'm just,
you're and you're only 27.
yeah, I just turned 28 a week ago.
That's right. Yeah, happy
Yeah.
birthday, by the way. Yeah, it was
Thank
last
you.
weekend. We were gonna
Yeah.
arrange it, and you're like, actually, it's my birthday. 28 years old. Everything you've seen in this world.
Yeah.
When you fly around, like you were in a home with no roof in Cameroon, and now you're flying all over the world. At
It's a
world
good place.
championships with people cheering for you. It's such a bizarre life is so bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why also one thing I learned growing up is never to look down on people. My grandmother always said the ladder you're using to climb up is going to be the same ladder you're going to use to go down if you're falling. So the people that
Mm.
you pass by while climbing, be kind to them, be nice to them because you never know when you're going to fall.
You're gonna fall, and
So
someone else is gonna be on the
yeah.
come up that you never seen
Yes,
coming up.
yes. So that's why I choose to be nice. I choose to be, smart. I choose to wish someone good luck instead of hoping that something bad happens. Then I choose to just be good. That's a choice. I feel like it's a choice.
You're a credit to our sport, Sonita. You're a credit. You're a remarkable, inspiring story. And
Thank you.
I mean, yes, you. I said you were the strongest woman in the world so many times in this podcast, but I had no idea how strong you are until we just had this conversation.
Thanks.
It is
Thanks.
it's something else. Like good luck in training for Sheffield.
Thank
I
you.
hope you hit that 700. I hope you take that 731 and you freaking
You have to
you
promise me if I hit the 700, we're doing a podcast.
love it. There's Sunita, we're doing a podcast if you don't. All right. I don't care if but sure, you had 700, we're doing a podcast. Sunita, we're doing podcasts, all right. We did 2 hours easy talking. Like this was yeah, frick, don't worry about that. We're talking. Good luck with everything. We got to stay in touch.
Thank you.
I hope the
Thank you.
best. I hope you
Thank
hit
you.
all those goals and you keep pushing. And I think like you have to tell your story. I hope you get more and more attention, mainstream media attention, and this story gets out. It's incredibly inspiring. And it's only the beginning. You're 28. This is
Yeah.
only the beginning. What you might end up doing, who
Only God
knows how
knows.
far you could push it. You're already doing things we never thought were possible. So we're
Thanks.
gonna find out. And the only
Thank
way we're
you.
gonna find out, this is why we gotta tune into Sheffield. See you squat 700 and see how far you extend that record. And
100%. 100%.
I'm excited. Well, listen, thank you for coming on, Sonita. We'll
My
obviously we'll stay
pleasure.
in contact in DMs. Thank you for like sharing your story. I mean, people
Absolute
come on and
pleasure.
share their stories. Some stories you're never gonna forget. I don't think you're never
Yeah.
gonna, and we're just scratching the surface with your story. I mean, we'll continue on, and you gotta come back. 100%, you gotta come back. But what a freaking remarkable story. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. I know it's not easy. And I'm sure somebody out there is going to be listening to this, and this is exactly what need to hear. Um,
I hope so. I
and
hope you have some.
yeah, it's not all for nothing. I'll tell you that right now.
Thank you.
And for everybody listening, as per usual, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and until next time, six pack Lapadat, six up, and we are out.
Bye.